Hello, guys. How are you all doing? Minoshi, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. I really appreciate it. Guys! This is insane. Okay. So, I'm about to stream, right? I'm feeling good. The Cassante video released. I think it went amazing. I was very happy with my work, and I was planning to just sit down and like talk to you guys today about my next project. Like, what are we gonna do for our next few videos? What do you guys want to see in them? Stuff like that, right? And right before I go live, I check Twitter because like my phone's blowing up all day. I've got a lot of YouTube notifications, a lot of Twitter notifications, and Casante's designer has tweeted out my video. And I'm like, wow! Oh, speaking of blowing up, I need to quiet this down. This can't be going off during the whole stream. Wow! You know, everyone always told me I do good work, and like I'm proud of it, but I didn't expect like a big signal boost like that, you know? Yeah. Wow. So that's something that's happened today. We're gonna turn on our music. Oh, I don't even know how to get focused again. Like, I don't know how to get focused, right? Hi, Mark. How are you doing? How are you doing? Okay, but we do have to get focused at some point. Like, just okay. But first. I've gotta. I'm gonna like and respond to this as soon as I'm done streaming. But wow. I see that. Yeah. Okay, I need my notes out. We're gonna start. I am super happy about the idea of just like, you know, I don't need to be challenger or anything. I don't need to be able to execute on stuff like instantly. I don't need to have the fastest brain. I just like doing my content, and this is a big step. This is a very big step. Oh, okay. So today we're going to start working on the next major project. I want to make videos about the stuff that I've studied, right? About a lot of the stuff that I've studied. And one of the things that I've studied the most over the last year is team composition archetypes. So I want to make a series of videos on these, and I need to start planning out what that's going to look like. I need to know what you guys want to see, like how you guys can benefit from it the most. And we're going to spend most of today just making sure like my baseline information is like rock solid, right? We're going to develop the attribute theory, right? Because this is very underdeveloped. We're going to develop attribute theory. We're going to develop we're going to like verify that I can identify team comps like very quickly and see if there's any holes, like if there's any archetype holes. Because very recently I did find out I was missing skirmish aggro. That was an archetype that I didn't know about. I know I wrote something a while ago that I'm trying to find. I was trying to find yeah, I wrote something a while ago because I kind of like. Oh, it's right here. It's on the other side of the. Okay. It's on the other side. Excuse me. So, and I have some notes on my phone because I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I got anxious and I wanted to develop this project, but it wasn't ready because I had to focus on Cassante still. A lot of this is not helpful right now anymore. Basically, all I've written about on my phone is that I'm probably going to start with front to back compositions because that's easy to understand, right? Everybody gets front to back. And a video like that, I could maybe define like the attribute and archetype concepts first before moving into front to back. What I wrote here, I actually have like an outline, right? It says I want to introduce whenever I have a new team comp video, this is the plan. I'm going to introduce the premise of the composition, right? What's the general strategy? How does it work? How does it play? I want to talk about related and common champions inside, strengths and weaknesses, how to draft it, show professional or amateur if I have to, examples of it being played. I want to talk about the ease of execution, and I want to talk about the different types of like variants. That sounds like it could be pretty in-depth, right? That sounds like you could talk for 30 minutes about front-to-back compositions, especially if you have to explain, like, if I go to Legends of Runeterra, like, where is it? Yeah, if I have to explain, like, this stuff first, and then we have to work out, actually, what did I write about? Okay, so, I'm actually just gonna, like, take an actual photo with my phone of this page so I don't have to keep cutting back to this. Because this page has attribute theory on it. Wow. Okay, my voice. I'm like really, really hyped up right now. Guys, I'm really hyped up right now. Give me a moment. Okay. Oh, how are you all doing? I need someone to ground me for a bit. I need somebody to ground me. Sleepy! That's not too bad, is it? So. Yeah, well, I need to shave. I need to get rid of some of this extra hair. Okay. Team compositions. Did I have an attribute thing somewhere? Hang on. Now I have to go through my notes again because I think I have like an attribute brainstorm that I never finished. I've got to try to find it. That's a practice methods thing. That is the skills that I thought I needed to improve at the beginning of... Oh, no, never mind. It's on the bottom of this page. Okay, so, we were going to talk about attributes, like the attributes of a team comp, right? One of the attributes that a comp has that I'm 100% certain about is formation. So basically, you look at this composition and you say, well, is this composition like a static composition or is it a flexible composition? And what that means is like, does this composition need to fight in a very specific like structure? Or is this more freeform? Like, do you have like, where does everybody need to be relative to each other, pretty much? So that's one of the attributes that like isn't in card games, but guaranteed exists, right? This is actually what I have like in general. So range Are you a very melee comp? Or are you a very ranged comp? Obviously that matters, and that'll have some influence, and we'll talk about that more. The general scaling of a composition, I don't have any notes on that. The aggression of a composition. The portion of a comp that's dedicated to true win conditions rather than answers to... That's probably not the right way to phrase that concept, right? Because, like, having a bunch of threats does make you more aggressive, but, like, also having just one threat you funnel everything into can still be, like, an aggressive comp, so maybe labeling it aggression isn't very... My DMs are blowing up right now. I'm so overwhelmed. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so where do I go? I need to bring someone in. I am like mentally imploding. Okay. We are going. Here's the plan for today. We are going to start by trying to refine attribute theory, and when we think that's reasonably solid, we're then going to move on to like some sort of like team comp identification. Because like, yeah, I think the structure I have in my videos would be good, right? Introduce the composition, talk about champions that are common in that composition, talk about how to draft it, talk about the general play style, talk about its like matchups. Oh, how it plays the mirror matchup is really important. So like, let's say you're running front to back versus front to back, right? It would be really important to know what factors lead to a favorable front to back, like which of these comps is favored into the other. Like you'd have to know from a compositional standpoint, not just a matchup versus matchup standpoint, right? Hello, Karibo. How are you doing? How are you doing? We're mentally imploding right now. I'm super overwhelmed by just... My hair looks really flat too. I need to, like, I'll be right back. One moment. Whew. I'm headbanging off camera. Ugh. Oh man, okay. Karibo, a very good thing has happened. A very good thing has happened. And it's like really throwing off my... So Casante's designer tweeted out my video about like 20 minutes ago. Which is insane. It's insane. Like, and now I'm supposed to just like sit down and work again as though nothing happened. Like, okay. Whew. Breathe, right? Breathe. Because we have a new project to plan, right? We're planning the team composition. Okay, so actually, let's start. Yeah, no, let's start with attributes. Okay. So we're trying to like really lock down my fundamental understanding of like what a team composition is. which is going to give me like the knowledge necessary to make videos about like how to play team comps, right? The first video is going to be about front to back, but regardless of what the first composition is going to be, I need to get my information in order. So what I'm planning to get a team together that will like help me develop, like, it's gonna give me some practical experience playing every type of team comp, because like let's be real, okay? One of the big discoveries that I made playing in the VRD last split is that solo queue prepares you for many of these comps, and it prepares you for many of these comps. Like if you play solo queue, does one node have dark mode? I genuinely don't know, and I really don't think so. Oh. So I didn't know about this. Okay. I've been using this program for like 8 years. It's like... Or like, wait, what is it, 6? Oh no, it's only 6. Okay, 6 years I've been using this. And I didn't know it had the dark mode. Okay. So, the information I have, it's going to be important to know for every composition, right? What does the composition look like? What champions are common in the composition? What are the comp's standard objectives? What does the mirror matchup look like? How do you draft it? How easy is it to play? And then you would need to see examples of it in action, right? Like that's like the most important thing. So the attributes are going to help us kind of identify, like, it's not going to help us identify how an archetype works necessarily, but it's going to help us like identify differences in similar compositions of the same archetype, right? So you can have 2 front-to-back compositions, but they will differ on their range, or they'll differ on their scaling. They'll differ maybe a little bit on their aggression. They won't differ on formation because it's front-to-back. But they might differ, like, yeah, so we need to figure out what all of these are, right? We need to figure out what all of the attributes are so that we can properly analyze archetypal mirror matchups. Oh, I already wrote down mirror matchups. Okay. So yeah, let's get busy then. Let's get busy. We already know generally how range works, right? So the cool thing about these archetypes and like a lot of mirror matchups is that you can usually take them from concepts that already exist, right? So let's think of like let's think of things in just a 1v1, right? In a 1v1 setting, the more your range grows longer, typically the more of an advantage you're at, until you become so long-ranged that you become vulnerable to melee again. Right? Like that comes from a lot of mage matchup concepts. Where, oh my god, my voice. So what did I write here? A comp's range generally determines its reliance on direct combat or objectives, as well as its general ability to produce pushes and siege. Yeah. The more your comp is melee, the more combat reliant you are. When you think of like why long range loses to melee, it's because those champions have the means to immediately like break your zone, get in, fight you. Like they're not usually going to just sit there and farm up. Like like if we're playing like, I don't know, something random like Xerath into Yasuo or something. I don't know how that matchup goes, like, exactly, but I would imagine Yasuo doesn't want to sit there farming. Because he's just going to get poked down. He'd rather play for the trades. He's more combat reliant than Xerath. So let's try to think about this for a moment. Can we generalize that concept to a 5v5? Like, let's say we have team fight versus team fight, and I know that's not always what range looks like. I guess it's not like, no, that's not right. I think it's like the longer your range, the easier it is to maintain control, right? Shorter range tips towards aggression, longer range tips towards control. Wait. But is that true? Like, okay, I wonder if we can find, like, a practical example. Oh god, my Twitter notifications are blowing up. Okay, like, let's go to some Worlds games, because this is the most recent, this is the most recent footage that we can get. We need to find a game where somebody has, like, an obvious range advantage, which is going to be a problem when the most common matchup is Sylas Akali mid, because those champions play at the same range. Ooh, does this count? Does this count? I mean, it's not like conventional front to back because the Lucian Nami is so burst oriented, and it definitely skews towards, like, a little more towards aggro. Well, this is I mean, this isn't front to back either, but it's, like, very much a pure teamfight composition. Okay, like, let's just watch how these teams approach fights then. Let's just watch how, like, these teams with, so Gen G have the range advantage. I'm just trying to see how relevant this is in, like, compositional makeup. We need to skip to mid game because your archetype doesn't matter until mid game. Typically. Was there even a fight over this Drake? Or was it conceded? And just bear with me while I'm, like, trying to learn stuff, guys. It always does take a while. Okay, so it was conceded for a cross map. I guess that also matters, right? Like, it's like when you're setting up a fight. No, the range doesn't factor in. That's just who has control. And it's not like having range makes it easier to get control. Maybe it's having range makes it easier to keep control? Maybe? Maybe? What did I write here? All I wrote was that melee means, like, a pure melee composition means you are more combat reliant and more Baron reliant, which is already something we know. I didn't write anything new that I forgot. Fuck. Okay. So, like, obviously Lucian having that range on the culling is more threatening for farm denial than... you know, a melee champion would be, I guess. Where am I going with this? Where am I going with this? Attributes give you a hint as to how your team composition should play. Oh, wow, that's a cool camera angle. Okay, so actually, no, let's define what the point of, like, even talking about attributes is. Maybe that will help me. Maybe that will help me. Okay. While the archetype of a team composition imposes some fixed rules on how a comp should play out, the attributes further define the interactions between similar or dissonant compositions. Basically, that means if you're a pile, you have to start looking at your attributes to know how to play. Okay, so yeah, the point of attributes, thanks to past Quinn, we know, is to like I just had words in my head and I cannot get them now. I cannot get them. Research streams, baby. They're always like this. Always like this. The attributes of a composition help us to determine the interactions between, like, similar comps that the archetypes can't define. So basically, if we're talking about, like, range as a compositional attribute, we need to know what the pros and cons of, like, your we need to know what your relative range means. The shorter ranged team is more reliant on directly fighting. That is true. That's our foundation. The longer ranged team... It's a who's the beatdown question! Oh! Guys. Have you read this article before? Because I love this article. And yes, I was directed to this article, like, by that one LS stream. But then I read it and I'm like, holy fuck. Okay, it's a who's the beatdown question usually. But the scaling factor in there too, because it's like, is it true that range typically skews control? No, because Caitlyn's aggro control, right? Like, what's Caitlyn? Caitlyn's aggro control, right? What did I define her as? I did define her as aggro control. Okay, so Caitlyn is aggro control. Because she's just different. She's weird. Rules can have exceptions. That's true. But now we have to figure out how, like, scaling ties in, right? Hello, Prisma. We need to figure out how scaling ties in. So... okay, so wait, maybe we need to phrase... I mean, how did I phrase things in the Legends of Runeterra bit? Linear decks play out their game plan regardless of opponent. Disruptive decks are focused... Okay, wait, so this isn't like this isn't a relative thing. This is not a relative thing, how I define things in Legends of Runeterra. And this I stole from a Magic the Gathering article that Steven sent me. I think Steven sent it to me. I don't remember where it came from. Huh. Maybe it's wrong to look at this from, like, a relative perspective. A shorter ranged comp is more dependent on Baron control and more dependent on combat. A longer ranged comp would therefore be stronger in pre-combats. I mean, they are, right? Have you ever had a Baron dance that's just really awkward and you're just slowly getting poked out? I'm sure we have. I mean, okay, so let's try to find that Baron dance in Gen G versus DK. I'm sure it's coming. And in this game, Gen G just have more tools for pre-combat. While Damwon would have to play to set up their flanks, Gen G are allowed to start outputting damage already. There. Right there. Okay, Prisma. Actually, so I should just redefine for... We are now planning the next major project on my YouTube channel, which is my team composition videos. Now, I'm going to make a video on front-to-back comps. To make a video on a team composition, I have to know how the mirror matchup plays out. I have to know how the composition looks, like what's its strategy, what kinds of champions are common in it, how to draft it, how to generally execute it, what are our strengths and weaknesses, what are its variations. But one of the most important things to know for mirror matchups is how to assess similar compositions. And the way you assess similar compositions is you take this card game concept. A deck has attributes and archetypes. And remember, we on this channel subscribe to the idea that different genres of games have transferable skills to League of Legends, and a team composition really is a deck. Because if a team composition is a deck, then lineup theory works, and that's how the combat role system came to be. Which also means that a team comp has an archetype and attributes. Now, in card games, the attributes that matter is like a deck's scaling. So is your deck an inevitable deck, or is it a tempo deck? That's very much the who's the beatdown question, actually. That's the who's the beatdown. Okay. Then, like, are you a linear or disruptive deck on your interaction attributes? Well, a linear deck just doesn't care who its opponent is. Disruptive decks are very reactive. Like, so linear would be like a combo deck over here. Disruptive decks would be more control. Aggression is how many threats do you have, how many answers do you have. So a pure aggro deck would be all threats. But like the purest form of aggro doesn't really exist. And then it's also like, okay, cohesion. So are you a very redundant deck? Do you have a lot of cards that do similar things, or are you a very divergent deck? So because League of Legends team compositions are decks, then we're trying to define similar attributes for these. Red deck wins with like a war. I don't play Magic. I used to in high school. We only played 4-player free-for-alls, not Commander, no actual set, and I had a starter deck and I always lost. So okay, so it'd be like melee leans aggro, range leans control. Or it's like aggro team fight, range leans control. Kind of, right? Kind of. Okay, so scaling, just... This is a concept that everyone can get behind, right? Like, everyone knows that even if you have two similar compositions, one of them can outscale the other. So how did I define it, like, over here? I know I took a picture, but, like, okay. A high tempo, okay, it determines the range of turns at which it is expected to win the game and the speed at which it burns resources. High tempo early game deck must be designed to close out games as consistently as possible, burns resources quickly. An inevitable scaling deck must prioritize neutralizing threats and staying alive to achieve its win conditions. It conserves resources often. So it would be like... Oh, and yeah, the team that outscales should play slower. That's just how it is, right? Okay, so we're gonna have to do like to do explanation of scaling. Okay, so but we should probably use that like tempo versus inevitability thing. Tempo versus and we can also say like scaling can also be defined by more specific interactions. A champion that scales well on paper could lose its scaling into an inevitable answer, right? So it's like what's a good example? What's a good example of this? What's a good example? Okay, so Camille scales really well, right? Like Camille scales really well on paper. But if Camille has to do her job into pure bait and punish, like Camille is playing into, let's say like Anivia and Alawi and like, and then just for good measure, there's also like a dominant endgame ADC, like, I don't know, let's just throw Jinx out there for some, like, for fun, right? It's Jinx who is very, very protected by, like, this bait and punish composition. Then Camille's scaling is, like, I guess we could say Vayne, too, because Vayne survives the dive more easily. Then Camille still on paper scales well, but her scaling is stifled a little bit because there are very, very good answers into her on the enemy team, right? So Camille would contribute less to her team's scaling attribute than... Like, Camille might have to play more tempo than usual because it would be so hard for her to play into Alawi and Nivea Vayne. Like, that's just an example. I haven't thought through the line, like, a lot, but that's kind of how I'm viewing this attribute. Okay, so... in every match, one team is the tempo and one team is the scaling. Maybe not. Hold on. No. Guys, can there be a situation when it's just really... Okay, somebody help me understand. Minoshi. What happens when red deck goes against red deck? Because if this article is to be believed, even in that context, one of them becomes like the control deck. It's like the reactive one. Oh, wait. Here's the key line right here. Here's the key line. Unless the decks are really symmetrical. So maybe Prisma's right. Maybe it is Fiesta. Yeah, there's no such thing as the draw in League of Legends. Like, you always have the tools that you would have. That's true. You would kind of like make your decision based on hand that way, where one of them would be the beatdown and one of them would be the control. Kinda, I guess. It's like... Is it? How so? Because it's like... Because your opening hand, like, determines what you have available. which I guess kind of is like the economy in League of Legends. Like, yeah, maybe I'm overcomplicating this. Okay, TLDR, TLDR. I mean, how does this make does resource expenditure? Okay, which of my resources do I have? Whereas with League, it's basically like you're playing with your whole deck in your hand from turn 1. Yeah, unless you want to consider like unlocking new abilities as drawing a card, which like, or buying a new item as drawing a card, like. Which you kind of could argue is similar. Well, yeah, we're not talking about, like, we're just talking about the opening hand. Okay, like, very, very specifically, like, very specifically in the context of 2 very aggressive decks, one of them would probably slow down based on what resources they have, but that concept doesn't apply. Not in League of Legends. Okay, I'm following now. I'm following. My brain expanded. Okay, actually, let's read what the. Okay, so scaling is scaling in League of Legends is fundamentally, let's see, related to 2 concepts. How much value does my team, wait. Okay, so scaling would be like the actual value of item breakpoints throughout the game, and it would also be like, why am I trying to, okay, I shouldn't be struggling to like put this to paper as much as I am. Because like your scaling is economy plus interaction, right? Okay, see you, Prisma. So is scaling not an attribute of its own, and it's instead made up of smaller attributes? Is that what's going on here? Because, like, this concept... No, because you can have a lot of answers, but scale like shit. That's possible. You can have a lot of answers to your opponent's team, and then no scaling. Like, you can draft just a fuck ton of answers, and then fail to have your own win condition. Right? I think that makes sense.
How much? Ooh. How much late game value do your champions have? Or do your champions gain from gold and XP relative to your opponents? And it's like... Yeah, that would, like... This is going to get complicated very, very, very fast, right? This is going to get very complicated very fast. Okay. So if you're in yeah, okay. Let's think of this from the perspective of front to back because that's the first video. Okay. You have two front to backs. If one outranges the other, the shorter range team must make something happen. The longer range team wants to optimize their pre-combat. That sounds right. That sounds accurate. Good. Okay. You have two front to back teams. One of them has better scaling, which is defined as, you know, just generally higher value from mid to late game resources, or like better answers to your opponents. Okay, so one of those front to back teams has to be a lot more like on their A game to win the game. They should be opting into more early Drake fights. They should be trying to bulldoze the, like if you're in team fight versus team fight. If you're in team fight versus team fight, the team that scales worse should be opting into the earlier team fights more. Yeah. Okay. Okay, these attributes make sense. These attributes make sense so far. We need to figure out, like, this gold value thing. So, I had a few notes. A team composition has, like, two major things it needs to be aware of with gold value, right? First of all, the way we would define, like, gold value is, like, how much do you gain from the gold that you have, right? Champions with very, very cheap and effective items who continue to gain value from getting more gold would have, like, high gold value. Or maybe I'm phrasing this concept. Okay, so basically, it's important to compare the cost of your comp's items versus the cost of your opponent's items because having cheaper items enables you to take earlier fights. Because you get earlier spikes. It augments your tempo. Maybe we shouldn't call that concept, like, gold value. Champions who scale better with bonus stats. It could. Okay, so I'm trying to define two concepts at once. The first is more like a formation thing, right? When you have a composition, you need to know how to distribute your gold, right? Let's say I get in a fight. Okay, I get in a team fight, and it's going to be literally random which of my champion... Like, we're going to ace the enemy. We are 100% guaranteed to ace the enemy, but it is completely random which of my 5 champions gets the gold from that fight. Some comps are very happy with that. Others are very unhappy with that. Like, some comps have, like, 1 or 2 champions who should be getting the gold. The others, like, anybody can gain value from having that gold. That is an attribute. I don't have a title for it yet. And that's unrelated to the cost of the items thing that we were talking about. So it's like let's say you're running a team where you have, like, a carry top and... Yeah, carry top, carry jungle, carry mid, marksman, bot lane, and then also an enchanter, right? And all of those champions, just, you don't care who gets it. Like, every one of those champions scales well, in a vacuum, and they all gain a lot of value from having items, so you don't really care who gets the gold, because anybody can carry, and then if it's the enchanter, then their items are also just broken. So that's 5 champions, right? But then, like, let's say you're running, like, a really pure triple frontline, front to back, and you only have 2 champions who should be getting the gold, or it's like, or you're running, like, a Viego comp, and it actually sucks when Viego gets the gold. We need to come up with a title for that, because that's a real attribute. I know for sure that's a real attribute. I just don't know, like, what its relevance is when you're talking about comp versus comp matchups. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because the composition where you have 5 champions who can gain value from gold tends to perform better in a Fiesta state. They're more flexible with who they play around. Like, any one of their champions can just be their carry. Like, it's like driver flexibility, or what do we call that? What do we call that concept? Put it all on Kassadin, baby. Versatility, maybe, yeah. Because it's like let's say you're running a Renekton Nidalee comp. It's super important that Nidalee gets the gold, and if Renekton gets the gold, you're actually unhappy with it. But then if you're running, like, I don't know, Fiddlesticks Jax, like some random bullshit that probably isn't even a real combo, like, and then Fiddlesticks makes a play top lane, we don't give a fuck if Fiddlesticks gets the kill or if Jax gets the kill. Either one can be played around, like. Versatility's not a bad one. Curve! Oh, this isn't the one we're talking about now. This isn't the one. Curve. It's the curve. So a team with a faster curve gets their items online sooner. Right? I mean, we can call it versatility for now, like, short term. A comp's versatility determines... it's under my head, so... I can move it. We're curving. Is that Nikado emote? Yeah, it is. A comp's versatility determines... It's like the... I don't want to say like the value, but it's like the... If you're a versatile comp, it's fine if anybody gets gold. If you're a rigid comp, I guess we could call it rigid again, right? Oh no, because we called this static formation, not rigid formation. Okay, so a rigid comp needs the gold on specific people. A flexible comp... no, we shouldn't call it flexible. A versatile comp can end up with the gold on anybody and still progress it towards a win condition. Oh. a highly rigid comp. Struggles if anyone but one or two specific champions obtain accelerated resources. A highly versatile. Did I misspell versatility? Like, how did I do that? A highly versatile comp can play through any of their 5 champions with ease if fed. The more versatile your composition is, the more likely they are to thrive in Fiesta states. Because if we go to this Fiesta analysis thing, the beneficiary of a Fiesta game state can be determined by which team outscales the other, which specific champions are gaining the most gold from combat, and what plays are available to the champions with the lead. If you're a very rigid composition, you are more likely to fall into a trap on this question. Because, like, if my Blitzcrank is getting all the gold, well, that's okay, I guess, because he can start building AP. So actually, that's not a great example. If my Maokai suddenly starts getting all the gold, that's way less likely to lead to a win than if my Tristana starts getting all the gold. Okay, so versatility is a good concept. It's a good attribute. Yeah. Rigid versus versatile. A comp's curve determines how early their core items are likely to come online. A faster curving team, determined by the identified by access to cheap items or natural tempo, is favored in early plays. A slower curving team is likely to have to opt out. So you could actually end up in this like fucked situation where you get outscaled and curve slower because like the enemy has too many utility champions with like fast mythics that come online, and then you get second Drake fight, and then oh no, what do we do? Like, we can't afford to give this up, but they're out curving us. Like, yeah, but like in theory, the theoretical concept of the curve means that it might not matter if they win lane, because if they're even, they're ahead. I mean, curve is almost like curve in card games is a tempo concept. And that's why Graves' Umbral Rush has so much value right now, because it makes his curve insane. It's so cheap. And then Graves is just favored to accelerate his game plan. So Graves curves early, scales well, has a good aggro strat. I mean, Graves is, I think I wrote Graves as a balanced champion. Like, Graves has a balanced archetypal tendency. I think that's what I wrote in here. I don't have every champion done for, like, that section. Yeah, I said Graves is balanced because he can fit nicely into team fights and aggros and controls. Yeah, and then you have to be careful too, because like Senna having access to Umbral isn't necessarily a good thing, because like Umbral can actually stunt Senna's curve. Oh, that's complex. Oh, I like how complex that is. Oh. Oh, okay, I'm getting excited. I'm getting really excited. Okay, so A comp's redundancy determines how many... sorry, a comp's redundancy is defined by how many champions within the comp can capably fulfill the same combat roles. Okay, so if I have 5 threats, I might have 5 DPS. And if I have 5 DPS, then my comp is very redundant. And then if my comp is very redundant, it doesn't matter if I lose one of those pieces, the rest of them can still do their jobs. If my comp is very... I mean, what's the opposite of redundant? I've forgotten. Divergent. If my comp is... Wait, divergent? Oh, this is a different concept. Divergence would actually be maybe versatility in this context. Okay, so, I mean, maybe this is fine. We can still call it redundancy. Because that is probably the league equivalent to redundancy, right? Okay. If a comp is highly redundant, then they can afford to lose one piece, and still play out their win conditions, to moderate success. If a comp... I mean, what would we call that? Where it's not divergent, we're not all going in different directions, but it's like if everybody has different redundancy versus coordination, like... Because a very redundant team, do they need to be... I mean, they need to be coordinated, but like let's think pure siege, right? Like a hyper siege composition where we have 5 artillery champions. If my Zareth dies, then my Ezreal and my Ziggs or whatever can still execute the control like a little bit. It's gonna be harder, but they can do it. But if I'm running like a front to back where I have a Ornn is the only one who can initiate. Taric is the only one who can like peel. I have a backline DPS. I have a burst. I have a disengage who is separate from the peel. If I lose any one of those pieces, my comp like really collapses. Wait, but if I have Wombo, I guess Wombo's like the exception where Wombo is not very redundant. Or sorry, where Wombo is redundant but still collapses if its pieces do. Because it's actually not redundant. It's redundant in terms of combat rules, but it's not redundant in terms of the combo. Every piece matters there. Actually, the more threats a comp has, the less they care about protecting each... Oh, I can't type. Protecting... No, it's my E key. So wait, we're trying to come up with like, okay, let's go to good old thesaurus.com, right? Divergent, because we're not looking for like... Diverse? Are we calling it like diverse responsibilities?
I mean, like, it's not great wording, but it's still... It works. It works. I know, it does. So you can be a really redundant comp where, like, one of your pieces can collapse and you're like, it's okay, we have we have backup plans, like, right? So we might have needed you on disengage, but you're dead, but oh, we have this other guy who can also disengage. It's like Gragas Maokai. Gragas Maokai are very, very redundant for most things. Like, you may have different combos with those champions, but from a combat role perspective, Gragas Maokai are very redundant. So if Gragas or Maokai dies and they're on the same team, then the other one can, like, pick up the slack, and then maybe you can still fight. A composition can be redundant in one role, but not in the others. And I'm actually going to give myself, yeah, a link. There we go. Now we have a link. Now we have a link. Perfect. Okay, so we have the attribute of range, the attribute of scaling, the attribute of aggression, which I think we need to revisit, the attribute of redundancy, formation, curve, versatility. All of those make sense. We need to revisit aggression. Comp's aggression determines the... No, but that's not, it shouldn't be called aggression then, if this is what it is. In the Legends of Runeterra one, aggression is... A deck's aggression determines the proportion of the desk that must be dedicated to win conditions rather than answers. Threats demand answers. Okay, yeah, like, Gangplank is an answer that becomes a threat. Nico is a threat that becomes an answer. Or is it like... The marksmen are just threats? Like... But why would we call this aggression in the context of a MOBA? Because it's not like you just... I mean, you can talk about, like, how many of your pieces are threats. I mean, in that case, you would then have, like, threats, augments, and answers, right? In League of Legends, that's what you would have. You would have a threat, you would have things that augment the threat, and you would have answers to your opponent's threats. Like, we shouldn't call this aggression. And this concept needs to be... Like, there's a concept here that is real, that does, for sure, apply to League of Legends, but we need to figure out what to name it, and then once we figure that out, we'll be able to understand it more easily. What's it called? What's it called? This is versatility. Isn't this versatility? Like... No, because your threats can be bad with gold. Violence. compositions have threats, enablers, and answers. Any champion can be any or all of the above. The more a comp indexes into enablers, the more their versatility drops. I mean, this now becomes like a... It's like... threat composition? So, like, if your team has a threat composition that is skewed more towards answers and enablers, then you become more of a control comp. If your team has more threats, and the more they become an aggro comp, the more their versatility drops, and the more they become a team fight comp. Right? That makes sense, right? I guess your composition just kind of like... Is that true? Can we really, like... I think we can stick with that for now. So the seven attributes of a team composition that we have defined would be range, scaling, threat composition, redundancy, formation, curve, and versatility. And the interactions between your comp's properties and their comp's properties would require more creativity in both approach and answer. Okay, yeah. So like a static versus static formation. So like being static can limit your options, but it can also augment safety. So it's like, okay, so like a composition with Tom Kench in it is inherently less flexible because Tom Kench always has somebody he must be positioned next to. So that is less flexible than, you know, 5 champions that can stand wherever they want. Zareth's formation, like a comp with Zareth in it, could become more flexible because the people who have to care if Zareth is nearby for follow-up have a greater area they can interact in, right? I guess that makes sense. We're getting the concepts. Like we're starting to apply the concepts like a little bit, but these are underdeveloped, and I'm like I'm confident in these, but I'm a little worried about how I would express them in my video before seeing examples. So I think when we start making the team composition videos, we don't have to name all of the attributes yet, but some of them will come into play. So like if I'm doing the front to back video and we're talking about the front to back mirror matchup, then it would matter. Like, oh, your range will matter, your scaling will matter. They're probably going to have similar threat compositions and similar redundancies and similar formations, but then your curve matters. Like, so we don't have to list them or really define them all. We would just talk about those loosely, and so it's okay that I don't have it perfect yet, right? I think we should probably start trying to apply everything. We should apply everything. Okay, we should apply everything, or I'm not going to run into the problems that my system might have right now.
Okay, so let's move on. Before we start applying everything, I just want to bring up what my team composition videos are going to contain again. And I want you guys to let me know if you think something is missing that we should be talking about. Okay, so the team composition videos will introduce the premise of an archetype. What's the general strategy? How does it work? How does it play? Is it team fight, control, aggro? I will talk about the common champions within that archetype, like champions related to that archetype, who you will typically see. This might not be the order of the video, but we will talk about, we will explicitly name every champion that like limits to that compositional archetype, or anyone who is a monarch of that archetype. We would talk about the ease of execution of the composition. We would talk about variants of the composition. So for front to back, we would talk about triple front line, triple back line, bruiser wall. And we'd really have to make sure we know about every variance that we can think of. We would talk about how to draft the composition. We would see examples of the composition in action. And we would we must talk about, the general, so now we're getting out of order even more. We must talk about the standard objectives of the composition, the loss conditions of the composition, and how to play the mirror matchup. If I go through all of that, that should give us a very clear understanding of how an archetype works, right? Or are we missing something that I've overlooked? I forgot about mono carry. Oh, that's on this screen. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not getting to the end of the playlist yet. I don't want to get into copyrighted music. I think that's everything. Really? Buddy, your account is 37 seconds old. We're really starting this again? No. Nope. Okay. I think so. It's been a while. It's been a long time. I think I think we know the structure of the videos. I need to put together my teams. I will need my own team who plays flex queue with me. So we can like hash out these team compositions and learn more about them. And then I would need a rival team that could mirror match us. Okay, so let's start. Do you guys want to? Do you guys have any questions, any concerns, any comments? Like before we move on to the next thing. I'm basically just trying to make sure this isn't a magic damage situation where it takes me 5 months of study before my video can come out. I'm trying to get the problems out of the way now.
Did I eat today? Yes, I did. I did. I had some cereal when I woke up, and I just had some fish and chips, and I'm going to have this banana later. Like, green screen banana. Yeah, I have. Almost got 100 LP. Yeah! Yeah, Cam! Let's go. Is my client still up? Oh, it is still up. Okay. We're going to go through these compositions. We're going to do an exercise. We don't care about draft order. We're just going to look at the comps. And we're going to assess them in terms of archetype and attributes. And we're going to make sure that we can do that for all of these champions. And that nobody is going to cause concerns. So, I am going to pull from Gen G DRX right now. Oh, this is the dream Kindred comp from DRX, that's right. So, first of all, I'd like to commend DRX for actually finding a real Braum angle. Like, that's impressive. That's impressive. Is this the video overview or just the big-ass pile of teams? So, we're planning the overall project right now. In this moment, I am stress testing my archetype and attribute system by doing some comp analysis. Because I need to... Basically, these two things right here have to be, like, ironclad before we release a video on it. So I need to know if I've, like, failed to find all the front-to-back archetypes, or if, like, there's champions that complicate things and I haven't thought of it. That sort of thing. Okay, so blue. We're gonna try. We're gonna try right now. Does anyone actually play Akshan? Akshan is very uncommon, and at pro level, we barely ever see him, but he's really, really good for inciting chaos. He's like an aggro control champion who doesn't fit well into team fights. He also requires, like, you know, he takes a lot of time to get good at. The grappling hook is weird. The laning is risky. So no, people kind of don't play Akshan, but he's good. He's got his place. Like, he just shouldn't be common. What do we have here? We have... Okay. First, the archetypes. Viego telegraphs single target blow up a lot. Is this single target blow up? Well, that's Renekton's specialty. Renekton's a corpse generator. He's very good at single target blow up. Nautilus is a good initiator for that sort of thing. Rise has a lot of catch potential and lockdown. So yeah, you know what? I think this is very cleanly a single target blow up. Let's go to my archetypes. Let's look at single target blow up. It's built to immediately kill the most important member of the enemy team and use that numbers advantage to team fight. It's guaranteed to blow ultimates on their first kill. Needs someone to provide sustained damage. Resets have very high value in STBU, and their comps are usually built around it. I don't have any STBU variants right now. It's like key elements, lockdown, burst, lockdown, resets, burst, sustained, DPS. You need all of those to play a good single target blow up comp. Otherwise, if you only have the lockdown and the burst, you're probably a pick comp. So I guess I mean, like, it's worth talking about Nautilus in the sense that, like, okay, so wait, but we can agree this is single target blow up, right? It's not pick, it's not an aggro of any kind. It's designed for Viego to reset all over the place, but I mean, Viego's never going to be able to. Oh, it's obligate. No, it's not STBU. It's obligate pick.
And it's obligate pick because this matchup sucks. They've become a pick conf because they can't teamfight into this. Not easily, at least. Meanwhile, this thing, like, oh, okay. So, we have triple frontline. Yeah, well, Zaya's good. I mean, okay, so, let's go to pick. Let's go to pick. Keep asking questions, please. Keep asking, like, stuff like this. Just force me to justify my takes. This is good. Pick is always something that, yeah. When you're technically designed to be a team fight comp, but your tools cannot beat the enemies in an honest 5v5, you are required to become a pick comp instead. It's a failure condition and a way to salvage a bad situation. Like, maybe Genji's just bad, honestly, maybe. The way I always viewed pick, it's a control aggro. You need to have ways to generate the kills rather than waiting for mistakes. So usually that comes from, like, side lane pressure. You could use it by, like... Yeah, you would generate picks through... No, I shouldn't be thinking about this. It's like, okay. I didn't even notice Gorals was in the URL for my... No, so, okay, so, wait, okay, so, to generate picks, force the enemy to walk through uncontrolled territory in order to defend an objective, structure or neutral. That's it. Okay, that's... So, the original way I defined pick compositions is, oh, you should have a side laner to force them to come to you. But then, like, the side lane flowchart can actually break your pick comp because sometimes you can just get stuck and then it's like, oh, am I trying to split push? Like, what's going on? And then, like, do I go make an advantage team fight? It's like, oh, my comp's kind of not designed to team fight. Like, we kind of suck at that. Wait. To generate picks, force the enemy to either... walk through, retreat into further danger by pushing them backwards with a numbers advantage. Okay, so you still need push to be a pick comp, right? And they have that. Like, they have Rise. They have Rise to pick. And then they have, like... I mean, Farsight beats this. But it's like, I'm thinking back... So it's like, okay, so let's say, like, you know, you're setting up your trap, right? You're a pick composition. You're waiting for somebody to walk by and you're gonna kill them, right? Like, oh, wow. And, you know, Zaya's generating the push. Like, Viego's here or something. Varus Farsight would beat that, and then you guys are allowed to come in because you don't have to check this bush, check this bush, check this bush, check this bush, but you're just repeatedly trying to set that up, right? And that's what your comp is designed to do. So it is control, fundamentally. But it is control aggro, and it does get outscaled more so than, like, pure control, right? Okay, but this composition. So, yeah, because the core components... we need to emphasize more, no, it's not, it's catch tools, burst damage, side lane, wave clear. Okay. Yes. That's how, okay, that's how this works. Okay, so yeah, my definition of pick... Actually, where's my pick page? When I was visiting my friend during the summer, I took my notebook with me, and I started doing some pick composition work while we were just having downtime, because I was excited about it. but I was still fundamentally wrong about it. Yeah, because I was trying to figure out, it's like, what is like tank-based pick? How do you identify it like that? No, it's just the burst damage. Just the burst and catch. It's burst and catch. Force the enemy team to split their members across the map. No, but that's not it. Or to wander towards, or to wander into fog of war. I need to refine this now. Okay, but... Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for talking about Zaya here and, like, forcing me to, like, really reassess what's going on here because I just had a revelation. We're not doing a video on pick right now. But I still need to be ready for that one because that seems like a good video to do early in the series, right? How to play a pick comp. How to identify a pick comp. Okay, this composition, what the hell is this, right? Because at first glance, we have 3... frontliners and 2 carries, and all of these champions are good at team fighting, and that would immediately say front to back, right? Usually you would say front to back. But let me go check what I said about front to back. What are your... Okay, well, this doesn't help me at all. I don't see any core components. I never wrote core components. So this could be bait and punish, like an impure form of bait and punish. Or it could be a really weird version of hyper carry teamfight. So what hyper carry teamfight usually is it's a teamfight composition in which the actual carries are enabled to be their own frontliners. The carries are the ones making the plays because there's so much backing them up. So like a usual hyper carry teamfight would be like your primary carry is a hyper carry, your secondary carry is an enchanter synergy, and then you have like double enchanter here, and then some supplementary champion. Which why I said in day 1 Cassante that Cassante would actually be really good here because he could fill like a warden role, and then you have like, you know, Ivern, Soraka, Xinjiao, Varus. And Cassante would be good there. So like, but if hyper carry is very clear about its definition of like the carries being their own frontliners and their own playmakers, then that's kind of not what this is, right? Yeah, like Gragas. So, but Gragas is not a pure initiator here. Okay, so Gragas should never be viewed as a pure initiator, because his engage is really pick based. His engage is really pick, like unless he is in the Yasuo Gragas combo, and then he's an initiator. So maybe this isn't hyper carry teamfight, but okay, but then we have to ask, like, is this bait and punish? Like, and bait and punish is defined as like you are built to control space, punish enemies for interacting with that space by means of oppressive defensive damage. So blue should be single target blow up, but because they can't team fight into this, they are actually obligate pick. Which is a variant of pick that just says you tried to be a team fight comp and you failed. I think this is probably bait and punish. Oh, I don't know the order of these champions. I don't know when they were picked. can find out. It was Viego first and Kindred. Okay, yeah, okay. That's interesting. I mean, Zaya does match up well into Varus. So, yeah, B1 is first pick. And it was Viego into Varus, Kindred, then Renekton Rise, then Galio, then Zaya, Nautilus, then Braum on 5. Actually, can I set this album up to loop? I can. Beautiful. So bait and punish. I mean, if we're gonna try to characterize this through champion classes, I guess bait and punish is usually very warden heavy. If it has initiation, it's probably pick tools. Okay, yeah, let's actually write that down. Let's write that down. Kindred R is 100% a bait and punish ability. Yep. By a lack of initiators, those certain initiators fit only into this comp. If a bait and punish comp has initiators, they are very likely pick initiators. Catch tools do punish for interaction by the B&P definition. We don't have any variants of bait and punish yet. Yeah, so Viego's, I really don't think Viego's that bad. I would not first pick him. I think he's fine. Like, he's alright. But, like, Pioshik's a Kindred main. Okay, so, beautiful. Let's move into, so this is absolutely obligate pick. Are you allowed to not play around him? I mean, you probably should play around him. Viego's pretty useless if you're not playing around him. Like, no. Okay, so no. Viego's very useless if you're not playing around him. He's like Pyke, right? He's like Pyke. If you have a Viego or a Pyke in your comp, all they can contribute to the team fight is, like, watching until their ultimates get unlocked. Or, yeah, I think, well, he's a Monarch. Viego almost universally locks you into single target blow up. That's just what he's good at. It's a waste to play him as a pick champion. Okay, so we found obligate pick that was trying to be a single target blow up. And then we found a bait and punish, but we don't know what the bait and punish like variants are yet, so we can't get more specific than that. I'm sorry, we're just prepping some stuff for a video that I have to make. Okay, let's talk about attributes then. Let's see if anything like whoops. Let's see if anything works or doesn't. Okay. Okay. What's the range of this composition? Okay, this is a very, very melee composition. So this team is obligated to... This team is combat reliant. This team does not have amazing range either, actually. So although this team has better pre-combat than this team, actually, no, they don't have better. Okay, so the range is about equal. I mean, it's like, Kindred outranges Viego, Kindred outranges Rise, Galio is short range. Okay, so slight range advantage to Red,
But we can conclude that because these comps are both short range, they are both combat reliant. Except with better... No, I mean, no, because this team does have better siege. Okay, so this team is the better siege. Scaling. Well, by the classical definition of, like, scaling, no. Doesn't gain much value beyond second item. Yes, hyperscaler. Yeah, crit champion, so good at scaling. One item spike, and that's it. Okay. Yeah, scales like a monster. Scales like a monster, so that's about equal. One item spike, so that's equal. I mean, scaling it, and then we factor in, like, the answer definition of scaling, and it's like, well, is Viego scaling okay? Is he useful throughout the game? Sure, except actually, no, he's not, because he's into this. Vernekton falls off a fucking cliff, because, like, he has to really work for his Kindred assassinations. Rise, okay, so yeah, I mean, red slightly outranges, and red outscales. So that tells us how to play, okay. Threat composition. Oh, wait a minute. No, because we're still going under the assumption that we're a single target blow up, and then these attributes say, oh, fuck, wait a minute. No, we're obligate pick. It's the attributes that told us that. Okay. Threats composition. Threats, enabler. Or, well, threat and answer. I mean, a lot of these are answers. This is an enabler. This is a threat. This is a threat. Okay, so you're very much like 5 threats, actually. You could argue that Nautilus's catch is a threat. Catch is a threat. Yeah. Catch generates kills. This assumes the threats are all damage. If you have catch threats, with fewer damage threats, you cannot disregard their safety. Okay. This is highly redundant. Is Xayah an answer? So, I mean, Xayah historically is, like, an answer to stuff. In fact, she's picked here because, the last time I analyzed this matchup, it was, like, fine for... It was, like, very, very slightly Varus favored if he's lethality. Where is Varus? The last time I analyzed this matchup, I said it's favorable if you're lethality, and it's a skill matchup if you're on hit. Now, Varus is always on hit right now. Xayah always wins the ult trade. But on hit, Varus wants the ult trade because I think his ult cooldown is lower. I think if I remember correctly. Basically just, yeah, Xayah answers the threat of Varus pretty well and scales nicely into him. And then if she fits the composition, then she's just good. This is making my brain hurt a little bit. So, do you guys think we should relax on attributes right now and focus more on archetypes, like, just for... I think I need to identify more variants. Yeah, okay, actually, I've decided. We're gonna relax on attributes for right now. We can come back to that later after I've had more conversations with everybody. Reset everything. Let's go to the next game. Okay. This is still from the Gen G DRX series. These compositions are going to look very different. Okay, so we already know how Viego leans. Oh, yeah. Wait, Okay. What does a variance look like? So, we have, like, a variance for front to back, for example.
So we know what front to back looks like, right? Front to back is a very rigid formation. You have several dedicated carries, you have several dedicated frontliners, and the frontliners are supposed to protect the carries. That's the point of the front to back formation. The front to back variants could be like, you could have triple frontline, right? Where you have 3 beef balls, like 2 tanks and a bruiser, and you are probably better at moving forwards. Or you could have like a triple backline variant, which probably has an enchanter. And because the front line has more to protect, well, the back line is probably like a little more self-sufficient, but in general, you would assume that the triple back line is better at moving backwards. And then you'd have bruiser wall, front to back, where you have 4 frontliners and 1 backliner, except one of your frontliners is also one of your primary carries. But you're not a flank composition because of just the way you like to move with each other. So it's like Trundle is a front-to-back bruiser usually. Basically just any context that it just decentivizes Silas. So basically a variant is just, it takes the core premise of the composition and then it makes a change to that core premise such that it has a specific way of playing the game. If we go down to Siege, right, we know generally what a Siege comp is. They're poking, they're controlling stuff before the fight starts, and they're supposed to prevent fights from ever happening in the first place. A Siege comp is supposed to have multiple artillery carries and some disengage to protect them. That's the core foundation of a Siege comp. It's like about 3 carries and 2 disengage peel. And so what would you have? Well, the variants of Siege from that would be Hybrid Siege, which is not a control comp, it's a team fight comp, but it uses 2 Siege carries to, like, develop into a team fight. So, like, that would be like your Ezreal Zoe comp, where the comp might be designed to be a team fight comp, but that Ezreal Zoe comp should not just break out into a fight right away. They need to leverage their Siege properties first. So it's a Siege comp, but it plays differently, right? Or like Hyper Siege is a variant where we say, screw the disengage, we're all artillery. Like, we have 5 poke champions, and it's really funny. And I haven't tested this yet, but basically that's what a variant would be. So we're trying to identify variants that I might have missed, because there's a lot of comps where I don't have variants. But that being said, what do we have here? Okay, so whenever you see Viego, it's probably single target blow up. Let's check. Is it? Okay, well, here's Akali, who is great at single target blow up. Varus, who is amazing at generating kills. Renata, who is just an answer to supplement the Varus and to control some space. She doesn't play into the primary win condition of her team, but she is. Lockdown, which is necessary. So, like, let's see. Do we have Lockdown? Yes, yes, yes. Do we have Burst? Oh, hell yes. Arguably, yes. Do we have Sustained Damage? Yes, we do. Yeah, the resets here. Do we have resets? Yes, we do. Okay, so this is this designed for team fighting? Yep, it's a single target blow up comp. This is easy. Viego makes our lives really, really, really easy. It's single target blow up. Okay. True. Let's look at this. Okay, so Siege Core. Oops. This is a Siege Core. Ezreal Karma are 100% a Siege Core. Okay, so what else do we have here? Well, Trundle is Juggernaut, Catch, Meat Shield. Like, Trundle occupies a very good, like, team fighting role in, like, from the front line. He's, like, a really good frontline bruiser. Sejuani also leans very, very heavily to single target blow up, but she's also a fine initiator for any team fight composition, really. Anti-AD off tank. I mean, I guess we can still consider him anti-AD, but like that niche is really not something that people pick him for nowadays. It's like you pick him because he controls space well. Because Pillar is really useful. And he's good at catching people. And he's good at team fighting and good at... Like, you pick him for Pillar and Subjugate at the end of the day. Like... I'm willing to say Hybrid Siege here. Yes, if you have immediate initiation, you are excellent anti-siege. You're just anti-poke, right? You have that's a catch tool. Okay, so catch tools. Azir prefers to kite backwards. Like Azir's got like a semi bait and punish playstyle. Like the Shurima shuffles are best set up by enemies stepping forwards. Early game, he's got a lot of good catch. Late game, compositionally. I was wondering why I always heard, like, LS complain about Azir being picked with champions that move forwards. I'm like, well, I mean, his shuffle, right? He's good at shuffling with them. But then I thought about him more, and it's like, what did I write for his purpose statement? I wrote that Azir is a semi-defensive scaling mage whose aggressive playmaking slices up the battlefield. He relies on slow backline zone control and a long time to scale to create his proactive windows. Hey, Groy. I'm spreading fake news. Well, good news, everybody, because Day 1 Cassante, the video, is out, and you can watch it now with this link. Yeah, so, but basically, I'm like, oh yeah, Azir's semi-defensive, he really likes kiting backwards, hitting you, like, you have to go through his soldier zone, and then when you've stepped up too far, he's got a scoop, and like, okay, that's best for him. That's best. So he's kind of, like, disengaged. Okay, so we look at this Gen G comp again. Siege core. So immediately we see 2 poke champions, and we start from a siege foundation. Yeah, he's disengaged, so he's really good in, like... I mean, no, I wouldn't call him, like, proper disengage. He is peel, but he's not disengage. And he doesn't feel good whenever he has to use his abilities for peel. And this is an initiator that siege compositions do not need, so it's not pure siege. So we've got a generally backwards kiting... I mean, fucking Sejuani is so out of place here, isn't she? Because when we look at this, these two together, and then these two together, this core of 4 looks like the hybrid siege archetype. And then, like, Sejuani, who is usually a good initiator for her teams, it's like, well, if you're the composition who's receiving this one, you don't feel very good. Your composition is like, a comp's direction determines where they are most likely to whether they are most likely to kite backwards or push forwards in a fight. We're just gonna leave that one at that. This is a very backwards comp. The enemies are very forwards comp. Sejuani feels really bad when you have a backwards comp. I mean, I guess this is kind of mid-range, isn't it? This is kind of mid-range. Yeah, okay, but see, trying to fit the pieces together just showed us another attribute of team comps. Good. Well, when you're playing Sejuani top or Sejuani support, that doesn't matter too much. It only really matters for Sejuani jungle, where it's all of her gank potential. And Sejuani likes to have good gank potential because her clear speed is not the fastest and her invade is not the best, and her objective control is good with a melee partner. And it's poor without one. So Sejuani jungle is a lot more dependent on having melee teammates that, like, Sejuani jungle is more of a hard synergy than Sejuani top. Like, here we don't really care because Sejuani is going to be fine at skirmishing with Ornn either way, and then when you get to mid game, it's predominantly her ultimate that matters, rather than setting up her permafrost, if that makes sense. So I think we would call this hybrid siege. This is definitely hybrid siege with the Sejuani that feels a little dissonant because the direction of the team isn't as forwards as Sejuani would like, because Sejuani telegraphs forwards. Sejuani telegraphs forwards direction, right? What did I write here? Single target blowup or similar forward aggression, potential pivot to defensive blowup, or various forms of team fighting.
Yeah. Potential pivot to defensive blow up. I mean, it feels bad. Like, Sejuani's one of those champs who, I've been playing so much of Sejuani this season. I really should know this. Does her CC duration matter based on bola distance? Like, stuns for 1 second, stuns for 1.5 seconds if it... Okay, so it just does significantly more damage in a longer stun if it goes, like, at least 400 units. I mean, it's, like, fine. It's okay. Like, Sejuani... I'm thinking back to when I play Sejuani and the team is a backwards direction comp. It's like, I'm fine to throw my bola at something, but I feel wasted. I feel like I would rather... Oh, yeah. No. It's not the bola. It's... Yeah, that's right. It's not the bola. It's that when Sejuani's playing backwards compositions, what the hell is happening to my internet here? Hello? Drop it. Okay, whatever. I'm going to repeat that because nobody heard it. When your comp is moving backwards and you have somebody fully committing into you and you're kiting back, that's when Sejuani is best enabled to do, like, auto W, auto E. Not the instant bola. Now, is she going to be able to realistically do that into any of these champions? No. So she sucks here, so the backwards composition feels bad. So this is hybrid siege with an out-of-place Sejuani into a single target blow-up, and we identified problems with this composition because of how compositional attributes interact with specific champions, and it's working. It's working. Beautiful. Okay, perfect. Let's move on to the next game. This was, we did game 5 and we did game 4 of Genji DRX. So now let's go to, we've got some similar champions. Ari, okay. Oh dear, okay, yeah, this is very much a, okay, we've got to figure this one out. So, meanwhile on the other team we have Ornn. We have Graves, we have Silas, we have Varus, and we have Karma. Do you want to see order again to find out why the comp sucks? No, I mean, because we're only analyzing the finished comps here. I'm not trying to draft them myself, like, just yet. Okay. Let's start with the Caitlyn Lux, okay? So, Caitlyn is a champion that defines her composition. Caitlyn is, like, Caitlyn heavily telegraphs tempo. I don't know why nothing is written here just yet. What did I write? What did I call this thing? So if we go to tempo, if we go to the tempo archetype, what defines a tempo composition is you have a tempo engine, which is the champion that generates your expected early advantages, and then you have enablers. And usually your tempo comp should have an alternate win condition to be a good tempo comp, but they don't need one. We have variants, which are like roam tempo. Roam tempo would be a composition that very clearly is not a teamfight composition, but that relies on their snowball, and that achieves that snowball by their engine not getting resources from themselves, but bringing it to everybody else. And then combo aggro would be champions that don't generate consistent early advantages, but who become a tempo engine together. Lee Sin Syndra, Lee Sin LeBlanc, like that sort of thing. Are those good tempo engines? I don't think Lee Sin is a good tempo engine in combo aggro right now, but basically that's my point. So Caitlyn is a champion who is completely dysfunctional without her push, and she really wants to be played around, and she is
almost always the tempo engine. Now let's look at the rest of the composition to see what's going on here. Okay, Ahri is a champion whose like primary purpose is her wave clear and catch utility. Ahri is likely to be able to get prio here, and she is an enabler for this. She is likely to protect Caitlyn. Okay. Kindred is our alternate win condition. Gragas is our weak side top lane, who allows Kindred to play to this. Okay. How is their team fight? They lack actual true initiation, and most team fight comps should have initiators. It's not like, I mean, like, you have Ahri who typically likes to be, like, flank stuff. So, I mean, Ahri can play for flank initiation. But basically, like, okay, if Caitlyn collapses, let's say we have no more Caitlyn, right? We have no more Caitlyn. Is this Kindred versus the world? Can this comp team fight, realistically? Well, what are they? They're not front to back. They're not a flank comp because Ahri is not a flank initiator, and she's also isolated on the flank without, like, excellent immediate follow-up. They're not a dive comp because you've got, like, way too much range. Way too much range. Yeah, they can poke, but being a poke comp does not make you a teamfight comp. So no, this must be tempo. It has to be tempo. There's nothing else this can be. This is tempo. Blue is playing Caitlyn tempo. It has all the marks of that composition. Cannot be anything else. Okay. Red. Red looks like flank team fight. They picked 2 Luxes. 2 Lux E's is what he mean. This looks like a flank team fight for me, and the reason I say that is because, well, Varus doesn't really impose much on his composition outside of, like, needing protection. Varus isn't necessarily getting the protection that he craves. So he's relying on people being kind of in front of him. That person, I mean, Karma's protecting him from this. Ornn is protecting him to a degree. Ornn is a really good frontliner for... Actually, let's write this down. Like, Ornn is... Let's go to Ornn. So Ornn is a champion who leans towards teamfight a lot. We could argue he's teamfight control because Ornn could be for neutralized comps where you just outscale like crazy. Thrives in flank. Thrives as secondary initiation, using ultimates to cover his flankers, exerting more pressure than a naked, Ornn ultimates. So I think flank is probably Ornn's best team fight. He really telegraphs that. I mean, like, I would just write some stuff. It's like, if put into a comfortable, I mean, like, Ornn augments the scaling threat. Ornn heavily augments his team's inevitability, so he can tie together neutralized comps. Well, I mean, what would you not want him in? You would not want him in Siege. Ornn can only function in the hybrid Siege variant, or he's left with no follow-up and poor peel. You would not really want Ornn in Bait and Punish, right? Okay, I'm just gonna leave him as is. Like, Ornn's flexible as hell. Dragon aggro, he's good in Dragon aggro. Ornn is really good in Dragon aggro. Ornn is a great stable facilitator for 3rd plus strike fights. Yep. So Ornn is great in Dragon aggro. You're right. We've used him in Dragon aggro actually on Oblivion Ruby. Okay, I mean, it's simple. It's flank team fight. So Graves just, like, shoots whatever's in front of him. If he's enabled to step up into somebody, he just shoots whatever's in front of him. Graves can be the flank, but not always. He just kind of likes to walk up. Because of the massive range discrepancy here, Graves is not going to be allowed to just walk up. So Graves is pushed into more of a flank role. So this is flank aggro. Or flank team fight. This is flank team fight. This is tempo versus flank team fight. Funnily enough, this is the inevitable conf, not this one. Okay. And the attributes help us to explain why Graves must play the way he does. Range disadvantages must be compensated for via initiation, flanks, etc. Yeah. Okay. Let's do game 2 of the series. This is going well. We're figuring it out. Okay. Oh, my nemesis. I'm so bad at analyzing comps that involve Fiora. Oh, wait, that wasn't game 5. The Genji DRX was only a 4-game series. I forgot. Viego is back. We all love Viego. Silas is back. We should really spend some time, like, getting into Silas, right? Tom Kench is back. Okay, so that telegraphs a certain way of playing. Okay, so that really telegraphs a certain way of playing. This is weird with that certain way of playing. Wait. I forgot about this game. They actually locked in Soraka. Okay. In this context. Good night, Cam. Thanks for being here. I'm actually going to get some water. I need some water really, really badly. I'll be right back.
Okay. Let's try again. This one's hard. This one's really hard. I need to get faster at, like, identifying comps, and so this one's a good challenge. Okay. Whoops. You guys are learning my hotkeys very slowly. Okay, Fiora. Fiora is a champion that I really should, like, lock down. So, Fiora does not telegraph teamfight. Fiora strongly implies not a teamfight composition. Her best role in a teamfight is as an answer to someone she's trying to mark. Like one of her, if we're going to combat roles again, a lot of melee teamfighters are really good at this. They're really good at marking enemies. Because if they're not burst, and they're not like proper frontline DPS, right? Exactly, yeah. So Fiora implies macro, and in the context of professional play, where she is grouping a lot more often, she implies Camille mark. So where does that fit into the team fight? Does that imply you are a 1-4? Does that imply you are 1-4? Because is it a 1-4 composition if... Is it a 1-4 composition if you have, like, a side laner that is actually a mark? Or... See, this is where we start encountering problems because we haven't asked these questions before. We haven't asked these questions yet. It's... And these questions need answers, like, and what would I classify? Okay, so let's leave Fiora here for a moment. Her combat role is at least clear. I mean, Fiora is very fundamentally an answer, right? She's just going to be a very, very big problem for one guy, and her role in a composition is always going to be just being a nuisance to her lane opponent. Remember in that, I did a stream a while back where I was watching Darian's team play, and they had a Fiora into Kled, which meant the correct combat role for Fiora was unironically backline DPS, because they used their Nocturne plus Silas to dive, and then used Fiora to receive the threats to the backline. Right. That's true, but that's not like the default expectation, right? Like I think when you're playing at like platinum level, where I'm playing, it's okay to draft Fiora like for that purpose and like very intentionally play 1-4. Is this 1-4 though? Let's check. Okay, the marks, the properties of a 1-4, you need initiation and you need disengage, so you can be a flexible team fight sub composition. Do they have that? I mean, unless you're counting Silas as like a flank initiator, they kind of don't. They kind of don't. Are you counting TK? Are you counting Varus's ultimate as like pick? Is that actual initiation? I don't really consider Varus ults to be actual initiation. It's a catch tool. It's not like Varus can just walk up in front of his whole team and ultimate the same way Ashe can actually initiate from the backline. It's like, I guess, but when's Kench getting into that? Right. These are two compositions that are kind of divergent, right? Death Bush. And then your pick. If you're death bushing, that's a pick strategy, right? That's not like a proper 1-4. So I would not argue that this is 1-4 where Fiora is drafted to just side lane, right? Fiora is drafted to be a nuisance to Camille. And to be a nuisance to Camille, she should actually be team fighting, because she should be team fighting by marking Camille. I'm actually gonna write that down. Telegraphs. Whatever makes her the biggest nuisance to her direct lane opponent. Likely side laning or marking enemies. Wait, it's 12:21 now. Whatever makes her the biggest nuisance. Okay. Viego implies single target blow up. Do we have single target blow up? Do we have lockdown? Yes. Yes. Do we have burst? Yes. Do we have resets? Yes. Do we have sustained damage? Yes. Yes. We can argue this is single target blow up. It's not a pure form of it, but we can argue that it's single target blow up. I think the lockdown component is really weak. So what is this more likely to be? It's not front to back. It's really obviously not front to back because like this bruiser wall sucks at playing front to back. Like the Kench is not a true frontliner. It might, yeah, you know what? If we're playing like Prowler's Fiora, right? I'm not going to rule that one out. I didn't consider it solely because this is Gen G versus DRX, and we know that they're probably not going to deviate from the standard Fiora. Or you're just talking about normal, like, what is it? Is auto Q flash E auto? Like, what is it again? Like, what's there's an instant proc combo, right? An instant proc combo using flash, like blade work resets. Okay, yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, I forgot about that, to be honest. You could argue that Fiora's your burst then, I guess. Yeah. So it's the same. I mean, okay, so let's look through, because I have a feeling this is either a bad team comp. This is either very impure single target blow up, or it's something we don't know about yet. Okay, is it front to back? Fuck no. Is it flank team fights? Well, like, in the sense that Fiora is on the flank to mark somebody, and that Silas might want to get onto the back line, but there's no coverage on him. Like, well, so this is the kind of bot lane you want to see from a flank team fight comp. Something that can defend themselves during your setup time. Actually, do flankers need partners? No, but they do need follow-up initiation. So this cannot be a flank team fight because there's no initiation. Okay, let's actually let's write that down. Flank competitions do rely on some pressure, some proactive pressure being exerted onto another angle during the flank execution. So because we're missing that initiator, because we're missing that like immediate pressure, because otherwise Varus has to flash every time, this can't be a flank team fight. Okay, is this dive? Is it? I laughed at it for a moment, but I mean, it's a pretty shitty dive if it is, but would we argue that Fiora is a diver in that context? Like Fiora, if she's actually team fighting, should be on the flank. Like you could say flank carry. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's not Wombo, that's for sure. It's not. Oh, okay. So clear that out now that I actually know what skirmish is. Is it pick? Alright, so what do we need? Catch tools, burst damage, side lane, wave clear. Wave clear. Okay, side lane, okay. Wave clear. Or pressure. Okay, because, like, honestly, Fiora should qualify, even though she has no wave clear. Yeah, no, it kind of is, isn't it? It's like, It's kind of pick. It's kind of a pick comp. Burst is the. I mean, it's a stand. Your burst is low. Are you seriously telling me that Gen G fucking won this game? They won with this composition? Huh? Okay, so let's take a moment to look at red, though, because red is way easier. I think red is a dive comp. This is clearly a composition designed to teamfight. Misfortune skews heavily teamfight. Sejuani, like, Azir skews heavily teamfight. Both your carries skew heavy teamfight, and Camille is comfortable in that, and Sejuani is comfortable in that, and Soraka also skews, like, control teamfight. Okay. Actually, Soraka's balanced. I forgot Soraka has aggro comps. But anyway, this is a teamfight composition we know for sure, right? So what kind is it? Well, Camille has arguably a dive partner in Azir, because Camille can set up shuffles. Camille has probably a more reliable dive partner in Sejuani. So Camille, who likes to dive in and isolate people, who would also be great in single target blow up, and Sejuani is great in single target blow up. MF is not single target blow up. It generalizes to a dive. Why? Because Soraka actually has the tools to assist these two when they dive in. Is it a very pure form of dive? No. Well, we would consider this partial dive because it has a backline. Like the two variants I know of dive, which I think covers everything, is you have a backline or you don't. This one does. Is Azir a little bit dissonant? Yeah, because it's Azir in a forward moving composition. Is Soraka necessarily threatened by what they have? If she steps up for no reason, then sure. Yeah, isn't this a weird pick? I mean, it's okay, so it's into Tahm Kench. That's why they have it, because well, basically, we've identified that what the fuck is this comp doing? They have no initiation. Really, the only thing they can do is, like, Tahm Kench W in. So Soraka silences that. We're done. Boom. No laning for you. Like, which I guess is kind of like a blanket answer, but, you know, she also goes well with these two. Like, if we're considering this a dive composition, I think I wrote in Soraka's chart here a while ago that Soraka's usually too vulnerable to be in the unprotected backline of a dive comp, but if not threatened, she is acceptable remote support. She's fine. She's fine in the dive comp because ultimate alone is not a super compelling reason to have her in the dive comp, but she doesn't she doesn't disprove that this, or she doesn't disprove that this is a dive comp. Yeah, she's good in Diviego too. So is it an awkward... I mean, Misfortune doesn't skew entirely to Wombo because I still maintain that Misfortune is a soft synergy champion. She can handle herself even if she doesn't have ideal, perfect setup. But I think I've made my case that this is a dive comp. Yep. Have I written down that Misfortune skews entirely to teamfight? Teamfight aggro? I mean, I guess. Come on. No. No, she skews teamfight. I don't think she has, like, aggro comps that are, like, super appealing. Because she's not a tempo engine. Like, okay. But she skews teamfight. And Azir skews... Did I write teamfight control for him? I did. Okay. Sejuani, I wrote, like, is she balanced? I wrote aggro team fights, which, but pick? I guess, no. Okay, you know what? Yes, aggro team fight because of her tendency to move forwards. Potential pivot to various forms of team fighting. We're gonna adjust this. If Sejuani is forced to a backward, if Sejuani is forced to play in a backwards moving composition, she must have a target vulnerable to her. She must have a diving target vulnerable to her AAWAAE. Dive
And I think we conclude this is just dissonant single target blow up. Wait, yeah, we should probably have like a qualifier where it's like, this would probably fit pile status. Why? Because, okay, I think it's pile, because you have these two champions who are kind of doing their thing together. You have these two champions who are kind of doing their thing together. You have this champion who's, like, doing a thing into this champion. These champions are, like, all okay together. They can contribute towards a game plan revolving around you, but they're not all designed for that, and the composition doesn't hit all of the check marks. And so the closest thing you are... I mean, frankly, this is a pick comp. It is a pick comp, right? It's a pick comp. Let's be real. It's pick. It is a pick comp. Okay. Well. That's that. That's a pick comp. JD, wait, you... Okay, so this doesn't have Belveth in it, and it doesn't have Neela in it, and it doesn't have Cassante in it, and it doesn't have, I mean, does it have Renata? It does have Renata, so it's been updated at some point, but, like, it's really fucking out of date at this point. That sucks, because the next composition has Belveth, so we're just gonna leave it blank. Oh, Viego, you make my life so easy. But why do people not, like... Holy backwards motion. And let's see. Oh, yeah. I just got her little, like... Okay, there we go. Okay, there's Belveth. Okay, so Belveth was drafted here. Okay. This composition is very backwards moving. Azir's not a... I mean, okay, so... Chat, do we think Azir actually likes being a flanker? He has the option to flank. It's not bad if he does. It's not bad if he does. Okay, Azir has the option to flank. So Azir's not, like, dedicated front to back. It's not amazing. He can get kicked pretty easily. Like, he can just get kicked out of his position easily. These three together heavily imply front to back. Renata is an amazing front to back champion. Although she's fine in flank setup. She's okay in dive if the dive is close enough to her team. She's good in wombo. I mean, Renata just skews like... Give me a moment. I labeled her teamfight control. She's good in hyper carry. She's not good in single target blow up. She's fine. She's like okay in pick, I guess. Not really. She's great in bait and punish. No. I mean, yeah, kind of actually. Maybe that one. No, Renata's pretty flexible actually. As long as she's into, as long as okay, yeah. Telegraphs, backwards direction. Don't mind this, by the way. Don't mind this.
I saw a draft on Victorious today where I immediately started checking to see if they could flex things around for a better bot lane matchup. I'm like, is this a viable Vernata game? Vernata Maokai jungle, or sorry, Maokai support. It wasn't. It was like Renata into Olaf or something. That would have been lost instantly. There's no way she can lane into that. Okay. And Gragas as frontline disengage, maybe as the bruiser, supplemented by actual reliable initiation, would make for a really good front to back. But we don't have that. We have Viego. Is Viego really dissonant here? I think so. Because again, Viego telegraphs single target blow up and only single target blow up, and if he flounders, he almost always becomes pick. Now we're left with double disengage, catch tools. I think yet again, are we an obligate pick? Are we fucked, or is this just a front to back with a hanging Viego? Is this just an inappropriately drafted front to back? Do we call it hybrid team fight? Like, so hybrid team fight is just the term I came up with for when something is really, 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 really obviously a team fight comp, but I can't quite place it as either front to back or flank. And it's obviously not dive, and it's obviously not wombo, and it's obviously not like bait and punish. But like, sometimes the lines between front to back and flank get a little blurred, so we call it hybrid team fight. Dude, Jhin feels like such bait. Like, Jhin feels like such a frustrating champion to draft. Because, like, you always look at Jhin, you're like, I'm gonna get this, like, pick potential, I'm gonna get this really good shove, and then you get the shove, and you're like, okay, what do I do with the shove? I can't take Drake, I'm Jhin. Like... I mean, he feels really good if you have, like, all squishies and you're just trying to kill, but... We accidentally drafted Jhin in a Dragon aggro once. Oh, that sucked. That sucked a lot. So this is obviously supposed to be a teamfight comp. You lean, teamfight control. You lean, teamfight. You lean, teamfight. You lean, teamfight control. We call you teamfights, but solely because... Hello, Kevbo, how are you doing? Solely because you have one comp. Like, Viego has one comp. Viego has one composition. So this is one of those comps where I have trouble placing it because, like, I don't think it fits anything, but I'm not sure it fits anything because it is something. Like, okay, guys, I don't think this doesn't fit anything because I don't know about a style composition. I don't think it fits anything because it isn't anything. Like, I don't think this is real. I don't think this is actually a comp. I think this is a hanging Viego. Like... And, like, I hope I'm not too bold in saying that. I'm just trying to think of, like, what I've seen from Viego lately. Is, like, is there anything I'm missing? Because, no, he's such a shitty frontliner. He can't fill, like, the bruiser niche that Trundle would. He is a carry jungler. He is explicitly a carry jungler. And so now we have this triple carry plus backline, and now it's not like... Yes, this is one of the T1 JDG drafts, I think. We just went through all the Genji DRX, and now we're doing the T1 JDG. Because what we're trying to do tonight is we're trying to refine our knowledge of team compositions, of the archetypes and the attributes. And once we have that knowledge refined, we can start developing it into my next series of videos.
which is going to be all about team compositions. I just have to have my information, like, locked down. I have to be absolutely sure I know what I'm talking about before I turn it into a video. So we're just developing, like, we're doing some, like, comp identification exercises. Because we just refined this attribute thing. And now we're trying to find, like, specific champions who just cause problems for us. Because Fiora caused a problem. Fiora caused a big problem. Where I didn't really know what to do with her. And, like, what she does to her comp. And what we're really... I use Premier, personally. Premier is probably a scam. I think the free ones are good to use. Like, I just use it because my family, every single one of us, uses multiple Creative Cloud apps. So it's, like, it actually has value for us. I mean, I think Premier is good, but I think it's, there's no, why would you, I hate the subscription, like, services. Videos are fun. They're a lot of work, but they're fun. I mean, we could, it pays off. It pays off. But pretty much, yeah, that's what I agree with Grebo. So chat, when we have a composition that is like, oh, we just need to refine our definition of, like, pile, or so is this a team fight pile? We have this composition that, because of the mistake of drafting Viego in the context that he's drafted in, does not fit into any archetype. Exactly, he's useless. He's fucking useless. But, I mean, because it's this carry jungler... I mean, okay, so is this like a stunted front to back? Actually, let's just... I think it's a stunted front to back. Because what you really need in place of Viego is, like... What do you have here? Do you have anything that can stop you? Okay, like... Now the composition looks like a front to back. I mean, no, you're flank. You're all flank. You're so awkward. That champion in particular is not correct. Not for this. I mean, it could be, because flank is fine. Flank teamfight is fine when you have Varus Renata. He's press our resets, but he doesn't have his, like, enablers. Viego is a Monarch. He fits into one team composition. He has to be played in single target blow up, but this is lacking the properties of single target blow up. And because you can't, like, just turn into a pick composition because you have so many team fight pieces, you don't want to be obligate pick into, like, this. I mean, so it is Viego, but, like, if we put Viego here and it's like, doesn't this solve the comp? But then you're Hecarim into Bel'Veth, like... So, okay, so Varus provides, like... There's poke Varus. Wow, they were fucked, weren't they? Oh, if this became lethality Varus, they were in a terrible, terrible spot. That's... Yeah, that means they recognized how bad their draft was, and they had to do something about it, and just, like, pray the Varus poke was good enough, like... Okay, I mean, so Hecarim is flexible in terms of the, like, he's a balanced archetype tendency, because he can play aggro and control and teamfight all at once, but, like, he also kind of needs his dive partners. I mean, then this would be like a... No, this would be like a flank. No, he would play flank. He would play flank teamfight. No, but he's immobile. I mean, like, this champion is really not strong right now, but, like, if you drafted this, then it would feel like it's an actual archetype. Now you're playing flank teamfight. Like, we can find it.
What the hell? I mean, guys, I'm really buying into the narrative that T1 drafts are just not good. Like, now that we're trying to break it down here and fit it into everything. Oh, wait, are you, like, actually on camera in the back there? C9 jersey somewhere? That's funny. I probably can't. I'm pretty notoriously blind. You know, we've got this thing for a reason. Okay, so I remember watching this. So I started streaming Minecraft immediately after watching this draft, because what I thought was going to happen was the fabled LPL funnel was finally going to happen. I saw Sejuani, then I saw Varus Viego, and then I saw Bel'Veth picked as a response to Viego. And then Karma, and I thought, oh my god, the instant Karma. We've heard of Karma mid, who takes Spell Thieves at minute 15. Wait, were you really, like, right there? And I was so excited to see that happen. And then T1 just drafts what I perceived as the most dog shit comp ever, and JDG pick fucking Jhin, just put Karma support, takes Sylas anyway, despite the fact that they prioritized this abnormally high value. T1 counterpicks themselves by picking Renata into Karma, which is not good. And I just stopped watching this game. I remember now. I didn't want to watch this game anymore. I'm like, okay, I'm not delaying my stream for this game after that draft was so disappointing. Thank you for bringing up bad memories. This was immediately before Minecraft, yeah. But anyway, the point is, yes, this comp sucks. And yeah, Wukong is not a good champion, but like, he would be better there at least. You could play like a kite back front to back here, and then like at least you have a direction, like a compositional direction. Because as it stands now, like you picked Viego, and then you got like stylistically countered because I would imagine that Bel'Veth E matches really well into Viego Ultimate, especially since Bel'Veth, I perceive right now, and I could be wrong because Bel'Veth is still too new and nobody explores her properly. I perceive Bel'Veth to be a defensive counterpart to Master Yi. Actually, I'm proud of this. In day one Bel'Veth, I actually brought up the lifesteal core that LS started shilling for immediately before he got to it. Just because Faker went insane on his ear, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so we need to refine our definition of pile then. A pile can actually, so what I have here, oops, that's attributes. Okay, archetypes. A pile, I figured out, is a dissonant team comp with no single identity that leverages the individual power of each champion to generate a win. I say piles are not inherently teamfight control or aggro, it's just low synergy champions who generate divergent win conditions. So like, let's see what those divergent win conditions are. Okay, Varus pick potential. Varus sustained DPS protected by Renata Agragas. Okay, Azir, big scoop teamfight into Viego cleanup and all that. Okay, like any one of these champions can start a combo, and they get over aggressive Renata teamfight into that. Okay, so this is a pile, but now we've learned, like, because these are, again, Varus is a synergy champion, but he's hit his synergy point. Viego feels a little bad in the pile, but he's fine to be there. Teamfight pile. So we can have aggro pile, we can have teamfight pile, we can have control pile. That one sounds pretty bad, actually, the control pile. But piles can have archetypes. That's what we were missing. When you have a dissonant team comp, you can have teamfight pile. You can also have just trash. It is possible to have trash. But I think we can justifiably call this teamfight pile. Okay. We learned something. There we go. JDG. Sejuani, Bel'Veth, Sylas, Jhin, Karma. Okay. Karma, on her own, does not telegraph Siege. She is trying to get push. This is very much trying to get push. Sejuani telegraphs forward aggression. Single target blow up especially, right? Bel'Veth can push forwards. What does Bel'Veth even telegraph? What does Bel'Veth telegraph? Oh. What does Bel'Veth do? Belveth. Is this out of date? Has Belveth received, like, that? I guess, actually, no, she did just appear in the patch notes. I haven't done my patch analysis, and frankly, I hope you guys can forgive me. I probably won't do 1221 on stream. And this is out of date, maybe, but... Very gank heavy. No. This champion needs resources. This champion really needs resources. But what does she lean? What's her archetype tendency? So, I mean, she's a huge snowball threat, right? She's actually pretty strong level 1. She's actually pretty strong, like, level 2. It's like permafarm and let laner set up ganks. Well, herbivores should be looking for, no, we shouldn't call her a herbivore. We should call her a defensive omnivore. What did I... core resources, gold and lavender. That's all she cares about. Gold and lavender. I called her a carnivore. Wow, that does not seem right. Oh, I remember! In Day 1 Belveth, when I played her a bunch, I concluded that it just feels really, really, really awful to sit there, power farm, because you don't get as much income as you would want to have on Belveth, so you become kill reliant because you're snowball reliant on your Herald. That's too important. I remember now. I don't think that makes her inherently a carnivore, but it does mean that you, like, must have your one-night stand with the Herald. Like, you have to. Because what did I write here? Belveth's combat power is linked heavily to the quality of her E. Reasonable stickiness by exploiting cardinal directions to shoot up more dashes in its desired direction. Excellent turret diver. That's right, she was so good at turret dives that I thought maybe carnivore. Scaling is so excellent that any scenario when she's picked and can guarantee lavender items, she's unbeatable. These situations are very uncommon. I remember my Belveth games now. It's coming back to me. I mean, I don't think carnivore is, like, accurate, so I'm gonna hit us with one of those. We can fucking just, like, delete this. I really, really, really did not follow up on Belveth, huh? I guess my jungler never picked her up. Like... Belveth Poggers is probably the best icon in the game. They did. Okay. Is Belveth a tempo engine, guys? How fast is her clear? Guys, Belveth's clear is really fast, right? Can we call her, like, pure tempo? Well, not pure tempo. Remember, Graves can be played in tempo as a tempo engine, but that doesn't mean he's inherently just a tempo champion. I'm just trying to figure this out. I think Belveth might be a tempo engine. I think Belveth might clear fast enough that she's expected to get a clear advantage over her jungle opponent, and then just has really good early combat power. But only if she doesn't need to spend her, like, but she... Is Belveth a tempo engine? Is Belveth a tempo engine? Because a tempo composition is defined by having really specific... So you could... Alright, good luck in your... Ew, good luck in your 12-hour shift, Kevbo. I'll see you later. Is Belveth a tempo engine? I think yes, 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 no, no, yes, yes. Hell no. Reset champion, so yes. I'll give her one of those for now. I'm sure I'll know what that means later. I mean, she's got her Remora create a very specific win condition. I need to update this for sure. Didn't. Okay, I need to update, but... Yeah, Belveth would be a really good secondary carry for hyper carry team fights, because if you have Belveth plus Enchanters, then she has like the typical Enchanter synergies where she has like, a lot of damage and she has a lot of healing. And then if you put a shield on top of that healing, then she just does not die. Which is on paper, and like she's fine. Yeah, okay. I think she might be a tempo engine. But she's a weird one in the sense that, like, you know, I mean, because if she doesn't get ahead, then she's not scary. Well, she's kind of scary. She's scarier than Yi from Even, for sure. We can agree on that, right? Velveth is scarier than Master Yi if they're even with the state of the game. She leans aggro. She actually does lean aggro. Yeah, she leans aggro. Okay. Kind of like... Does she aggro control? Control aggro? Her scaling's amazing. What is archetypally control aggro again? Bait and punish is control team fight. Pick is control aggro. That doesn't seem right. I mean, like... I've literally written in her purpose that she's a tempo champ. Look at that. She creates a lot of pressure if she gets going. She does not create much pressure if she doesn't get going. However, in the specific circumstances where you're engaging onto her and she's just scaled well, she's still good. So, like, she's actually good in bait and punish. Okay, so... Okay, well, let's try to bring this back here. Jin is a tempo champion, right? Yeah. I wrote this on 12/11 PvE. And I've known these things the whole time, apparently. I just haven't put the big picture together. Okay, so this is a tempo comp with Belveth as the tempo engine. It's using Belveth's bait and punish tendencies into Viego, plus Sejuani's early laning, plus this early laning, plus... I mean, can we argue it's skirmish aggro? I think it's skirmish. Let's say it's skirmish. I think it's skirmish aggro.
How's their actual team fight, though? You're a great team fighter. You're a good team fighter. You're fine at team fighting. Oh, fuck, wait a minute. Well, because you have initiation. You're not front to back. These two would be flank. This isn't defensive enough to be, like, an amazing flank. I think it's probably it's more accurate to say this is a team fight capable skirmish aggro. I think that's what we have to say. It's a team fight capable skirmish aggro. Built for Drat's an initiator with tools that can competently team fight, but in such a way that it cannot fit properly into a true team fight archetype, and such that it is still disadvantaged without a snowball. Is that real? Is this a real thing, or am I bullshitting myself? Like, skirmish is an aggro comp with no specific win condition. Tempo is an aggro comp with a specific win condition, with an engine. Belveth can be that engine. The primary win condition is, of course, Operation Get Belveth Fed, Snowball Herald sort of thing. But Belveth also controls Viego well. But Viego's the most useless member of Red Team. So it's skirmish. Team fight skirmish. If that's real. Fucking whatever. We'll leave it. We'll leave it. I'm gonna pretend it exists, and if I prove myself wrong, and like, because it's not front to back. It could arguably, it could arguably be flank. It could be flank. Maybe it's flank. Is it flank? I don't know. Like, it could be flank. It could just be flank. Like, yeah. One second, I'm screenshotting my Belveth. She's too important. I'm just gonna shoot this off to Darian, and we're gonna, like... yeah, whatever. Okay, let's move on. Hey, can we... Do you see why I need to do this before I make my videos, guys? God damn, stop picking this champion every game. I'm so tired of him. So it was team fight pile into whatever the hell that was. Like, either flanked team fight or skirmish aggro. Who knows? That game sucked. That was the worst. Okay, I swear to God, you'd better have the Nocturne synergies. They don't have the Nocturne synergies. Well, they do, actually. It's a pick comp. Okay. I don't even have to finish this. This is a pick comp. So... okay. What do we have here? T1 have drafted Gangplank, Nocturne, Rise, Lucian, Nami. Isn't this the comp from earlier? It's probably similar, but it is different. So Nocturne. Okay, we have two champions here. We have two champions who limit things. Okay. Lucian is very like Lucian Nami specifically is a tempo engine. It's combo aggro. It is a combo aggro composition that uses these two to generate their leads. Okay. They're playing into Aphelios Lulu. That's the best way to stifle themselves. Nocturne is a limiter that says play me in either dive or pick and nothing else. I want those two compositions. So what do we have? Does Nocturne have a dive partner? No, and Gangplank's artillery support is not enough, because artillery dive exists. That is a variant of dive. Actually, I said there was only partial dive and pure dive, but there's also artillery dive, which is an important one. It's where Xerath can fit into a comp, like where Ziggs can fit into a comp. Since Nocturne does not have a dive partner, and you need a dive partner to make a dive comp work, or you're inting, we need to look at pick. What do they have? Do they have catch tools? They have Gangplank ultimate. They have a Nocturne ultimate. Do they have burst? Yeah, they do. So, they have sideline control? Yeah, they sure do. So this is a pick composition. This is 100% a pick composition. Now I need to refine my variants of pick, but this is a pick composition. Like, really clear cut. It's pick. Don't full team fight on this. Even though they have better team fighting tools than most team fight compositions do, they can handle themselves in a fight. It is possible. They're still a pick composition. Okay, are we single target blow up? That's a corpse generator. Where else is it? Where's the rest of our lockdown? Here's our reset. Here's our lockdown. That's not lockdown. I mean, Gravitum maybe, question mark, I guess. This just outscales. This is just scaling. These three would love to be in a front to back. This isn't a front to back. I don't think I can in good conscience call this single target blow up either. It's not a hyper carry comp, even though they have one enchanter. It's not wombo, they don't have a combo. It's not dive, like. Renekton leans really, really, really heavily into aggro. Right. Renekton leans aggro. A lot. This is not aggro. So who are you accelerating? Viego? Does Viego have a support? No. These are two different themes. This is a really good kite back. This is a really good backline for a kite back front to back. So it's a pile. It's a pile. We need to get used to just calling things piles. It's a pile. Look at this fucking comp. This is a pile. Like, I dare you to tell me what archetype this is. Are you telling me this is an aggro? Is this a tempo comp where you guys are stable? Is this alternate win condition for whatever the fuck tempo is happening up here? It could be. It really could be. You could make that argument, maybe. Is this a combo aggro? I mean, what combo do they have, necessarily? It's just that Renekton hits Viego's synergy points, but Viego's not happy to play for just that lane, and Viego's not a champion you want gold onto. You want gold onto these champions. Because, like, the attribute of versatility tells us that you don't want to fucking play for this. Viego is such a bad champion to have gold on. I will die on that hill. I hate putting gold on Viego. He's fine, like, give him his Sunderer, or give him his Bork, or if you want to be like a solo queue carry, and you're getting all the gold, go ahead and build like Bork Kraken. And it's probably best in solo queue. But, like, in general, if you're building Viego's optimal comp around him, he fucking sucks with the gold. Actually, yeah, give him Kraken every game. I'm at that point. Just give him Kraken every game. And then his ultimate is just much stronger again, right? Because what does it matter if Viego's getting the gold if he's designed around his resets and you're just getting your enemy's items anyway? Like, who cares? The only reason he'd have gold is to, like, clean up the team fight. I guess it's fine. Like, it's not bad to have gold on Viego, but your win condition is not gold on Viego. I guess it kind of is now that his ultimate's weaker. Like, I don't know. I'm conflicted here. The point is, this is a pile. Because it's not a it's not a real combo aggro. It's not a real combo aggro. You could, like, yes, if this was a like, okay. Let's say this. This is now tempo with Aphelios as your secondary win condition. But you don't have that. You have this. And now it's a pile. And to analyze a pile, you would have to check out all these matchups, and I'm not doing that right now. We're not doing that. I'm mad now. Okay, next composition. Good, we have a carry top. That's something that's going to challenge me a little bit because they don't fit in as clearly. What is going on here? Okay, what is going on here? Okay. She's back. This one's even worse than the last one. Like, she's back. Okay. Hard leaning team fight champion. Okay, so, okay. And Silas conforms to the style around him, I think. Like, he leans team fight, actually. He likes to team fight. There is an unironic argument for, like, bruiser-oriented front-to-back. I think it is more accurate to call this a pretty obvious flank team fight. This one is cohesive. Now that you have Malphite and Aphelios and Lulu, there's your good team fight core. You have Belveth, who... Well, I mean, she responds well to what's going on around her, and she can generate leads, like, with the... She has some synergy with Silas here. Silas has... Silas has decent ultimates. Silas has the Poppy ults to take. You know, once this becomes a scrappier fight, because, like, this isn't DPS, this is burst. Because this is, like, a weirdo, because this is isolation. Then I think you can... Yeah, this is flank team fight. And so let's just double check on the Belveth. Can you play flank? Well, I said I didn't know. Oh, she's marking people. Yeah. And she's playing off the reset generated by just, like, this stuff right here. Imagine this is an Infernum combo Malphite. Like, Belveth reset, baby. Okay. So we can solidly call this a flank team fight. We can see how all the pieces fit together, and we can see that even if Belveth is dissonant, and we don't know for sure if she is yet, even if Belveth is dissonant, the archetype is clear. Thank you. Now whatever the hell this team is doing. Okay, combo aggro foundation here. Poppy can imply isolation pick, but she's also just doing her own thing. Yone is shockingly good at front to back. He is a team fight capable assassin. He is, not pushing his team into any major direction because he can scale very well, and he's really good at, like, skirmish aggro. I mean, like Yone is relatively balanced and can probably conform to what his team is doing. I will be damned if you're allowing me to call this a team fight comp. Because again, we have a burst, not a DPS, a burst foundation for combo aggro. We have side lane McGee over here, just generating his shove and showing up and, like, making some realm warp stuff happen. Like, he's a complex macro champ. You know what? I'm just gonna fucking call him Control. Like, I don't care. Rise isn't team fight. Rise is not a team fighter. I'm just gonna go straight out and call him, like, Control. Like, we're gonna call him Control. He is just playing. He's like almost entirely playing macro and like mind games and like splitting up the fight and like. So we will then argue. I think we therefore, because let's see, burst, crazy movement tools with catch, burst with good sustain damage. He can do whatever he wants. It is isolation pick, which is a specific variant of pick that pretends it's a team fight comp, and then oops, you got Poppy ulted. Oops, you got Mordekaiser ulted. Oops, Bard ult just came out. Like, oops, Cassante just ulted you. Like, oops, we have, fuck, what was the other one? There was, like, one more that I'm forgetting. I'm blanking on. I hate to give up and just, like, go to my notes, but what is it? Gragas. Yep, Gragas is a good one. Okay. Isolation pick versus flank team fight. Clear cut. We're good. We're solid. Beautiful. Okay. I have to erase Belveth again. I'm sorry. Belveth is... I wish Belveth was less evil because Belveth is friend-shaped. Wii U, limiter locked in. We know the direction of our composition. Oh, Wii U. Dive. That's dive. That is so dive. Oh my god. Don't even think about it. Wii U. That is such a dive composition. Well, Aphelios is absolutely the AD carry I want to be playing in this position, so that's a nice champion to have here. I think I hate Viego. Why is he here in every game? Like, why are we drafting this champion every game? Who cares about Viego? Like, you know, he just shows up in a composition, and the composition is worse off for it, unless it's his composition. Now, Umbrella that smiles. Is this Viego's composition? Let's find out. Where is the lockdown? Gravitum. Talia catch. Okay, like in fairness, Talia's a decent corpse generator from Viego. She's not all burst. Oh, where's his burst though? Where is Viego's burst? No, it's not a Viego comp. What part of this looks like a Viego comp? Like... Aphelios is an anchor. Aphelios Lulu is really good to get engaged on. They're really happy with that. Talia controls space very nicely. You know, she's stable in most games. She's a good team fighter. She's got good pick potential. She's good in roam aggro. We can call Talia balanced. I think I actually will call Talia balanced. In fact, I will call Talia balanced. I already did call her balanced in terms of archetype. Okay. Talia doesn't impose too much on her composition right away. Jax is here to mark Camille and to deny the initial dive, but you're fine to get dove onto. Jax is a lot more teamfight capable than Fiora. He can be a flank champion, right? He can flank teamfight, and he's good at that. Therefore, defensive bot lane, plus this, plus this, plus this. We will call this flank teamfight. Is Viego optimal in this spot? No, he is not. Is he functional in this spot? We will say yes. He has none of his synergies. Flank. I mean, Talia loves it when her flank like pivots back into a front to back formation. Or if she gets coverage, right? Is Viego Talia's coverage? Maybe he is. Like, he's fine. He's fine to be Talia's coverage. Jax can be Talia's coverage. He's fine. Okay, it's a flank team fight. We'll call it a flank team fight because, like, look, this, this. It's obviously trying to be a teamfight composition. Jax is one of the more teamfight capable skirmishers from top lane. Like, okay. Most obvious dive of your life versus flank teamfight.
Uh-oh, guys. Flank stylistically matches up poorly into dive. Whoops.
However, their bot lane is perfect into dive. Who won this game? Red won this game. I guess if any piece of this collapses, the whole thing collapses. It is very much a combo comp. Okay, yeah. What next? We have a Jax. Oops. We have a Jax. We have a Sejuani. We have an Akali. We have an Aphelios. We have a Lulu. Because we have an Aphelios Lulu, I don't even need to look at what the other team's bot lane is. We know what it is. I was wrong. Oh, excuse me for being presumptuous. We have a Fiora. Hey, guess what, guys? Wow. Viego. And what they actually have is Ezreal Karma. Lucian or Camille doesn't get ahead. They don't have real damage. True. They don't. They really fall off a cliff. Vi, I will entertain... Well, okay. Vi should be single target blow up. Vi should be building damage. But who knows? Like, okay. So let's check the Monarchs and the limiters. Oh, look, a Monarch. Is Viego in his composition where he should be? Okay, where's his lockdown? Oh, look, that's just fucking Silas E. Okay, they have resets. They have this one. Where's his sustained damage? He has a lot of it. Where's his burst? I don't fucking know. Silas? Good luck. Let's now be fair to him. Okay. This implies hybrid siege. Are they playing a hybrid siege comp? Well, actually, I've now just realized that hybrid siege doesn't have to hybridize teamfight. This is a skirmish core. These two don't have anything to hide behind, so Karma is severely weakened into the Sejuani, but I think this was the game where Beryl played, like, Mikhail's Karma and, like, really found a good, like, Mikhail's self-cleanse into, that. We'll watch more carefully. I don't remember watching these games in, like, clear enough detail to watch Viego. But yeah, well, I'm about to watch the finals. I'm really excited for it. I'm having a watch party at my house. I didn't get, like, my uncle's crazy indoor pool theater booked. But my house should be good enough. I wasn't going to ask him to, like, stay at his house until, like, 2 a.m. Dude, my uncle's house is fucking insane. They have so much money. Like, it's actually ridiculous. I know! How nuts! It's their party room. Yeah, he used to have a bunch of, like, bear parties in there. That's what they call it, the bear parties. It's practically an indoor pool. Like, okay, to be more realistic about what it is an indoor pool, and they set up a TV. Like, it's a large fucking TV. Like, they still have money. But it's not like theater. Like, the speakers are on stands in the corners, like, but it's still insane. Like, Just got my directions for my next project. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, the we've gotten so sidetracked at this point. My uncle's house is cool as fuck. They saved up for years and years and years and years to renovate it and to make it that. I don't even want to know how much money went into it. We get to use it sometimes, but not Saturday. It's what happens when you have, like, a ridiculous job and no kids, I guess. This explains it. They made my uncle travel to China for multiple years, and he had to live away from home, so you can imagine how insanely well compensated he was to accept that. Right. With no kids. So... Okay, let's, I don't even want, like, composition set up anymore. Like, okay. Hybrid Siege with a Skirmish Core. Silas is flexible, leans team fight. Viego leans team fight. Fiora doesn't. She just wants to make Jax's life a nuisance. So actually, we need to defer to blue team first. Blue team has this single target blow up core right here. With a backwards moving bot lane. Aphelios is not Aphelios is only forwards moving if he has enchanters just giving him stupid amounts of space. He has one of them. I mean, like, it's how long is your lockdown really, Sejuani? Like, is Viego is Aphelios walking up here like all the time? It's like, I mean, Aphelios is not like bad at moving forwards if he's enabled to. Like, it's he's just range limited is all, right? Like, that's all it is. It's just range limits. It's The thing that is now stuck in my head, how good of a diver is Sejuani? Is Sejuani good in a dive comp? She doesn't seem particularly amazing. Because remember, dive comps are supposed to full break through whatever frontline or marks they have. Akali is a lot of space control through Shroud. Teamfight capable assassin. So we see an assassin and she doesn't immediately lean control, which is kind of cool. Because yeah, actually, assassins are fundamentally a control class, by the way. Like a control aggro. A lot of them are like labeled aggro control, actually. See, it's these compositions that, like, I struggle. What is Sejuani's purpose here? What do we define this as? Is this dissonant? Are they picking for matchups? Is that what they're doing? Are they picking piles for positive matchups? Like, I don't want to leave it at that because that's super unsatisfying and I learned nothing. Like, I don't gain value from watching that. Sejuani dive threat. She's the catch, right? Yeah, not everything's something to learn from. I mean, these people aren't, like, trying to... okay, like... It is established. Here's where I am right now, right? I have learned from my own experience playing competitive that it's actually very good when you're developing to break away from Roth. Well, okay, maybe not good, but like, okay, teams because so much of their practice involves solo queue, are trained to play dissonant teamfights and aggros. It's what they're best at. It's what most League of Legends players are best at, because solo queue is most of our practice. You do not ever learn control. You do not necessarily learn to practice like just raw team fighting. Now, or just raw, like you only learn to like composition building is what I mean to say. So like a lot of people also don't like to, a lot of people don't break things down into archetypes the same way I do. So a lot of teams will just say, like, does my champ need synergy picks? Are they good into their matchup? Actually, no, that's what it boils down to. A lot of teams will identify the specific champions that work for them and then say, do I like my matchup? Do I have my synergy conditions met? I don't even know if they say, do I have my synergy conditions met sometimes. Like, they just have specific combos they know how to play, and like, so, I mean, Sejuani was first picked here, right? So I'm sure she was. So Sejuani's first picked. They don't maybe they don't necessarily think of every detail of Sejuani. They're just like, I'm good at Sejuani. We think Sejuani's good. You know what, like, guys, I have a bad feeling that too many pro teams just say like, hey, we think this is good. And that's as far as it goes. So here comes me. I'm really trying to develop my like draft theory, and so I'm trying to learn from the best. I'm trying to say like, okay, well, here's what the best teams are doing. What is this? Identify this comp. But the teams aren't building comps like that. It's not like they pick Viego and they're like, okay, let's build for Viego because we fucking picked Viego, right? Why would we like, because I don't think they're saying like, let's build for Viego. I think they're saying, hey, Viego's good. Let's pick Viego. Then the drafts develop. So like, oh, that matchup looks good for Sylas. Let's pick Sylas. Sylas and Viego can work well together. Oh, we want push. Let's pick Ezreal Karma. Oh, Fiora's good into Jax. Let's pick Fiora. Does anyone need anything else from their teammates? No, Ezreal Karma are satisfied. They have their partner. Like, no, Viego's good to Sylas. Like, it might honestly go just that far. I don't want to presume that it doesn't go deeper than that. I don't want to presume to know what goes on in these teams' draft meetings. Like, I don't want that to be the outcome. But, like, we've just investigated from, like, these top tier teams a bunch of drafts, and what we learned from it is, well, like, there were a few that were really cohesive flank team fights. A few that were really cohesive dives. Like, a few that were really cohesive, like... There's a lot of high threat... Okay, there's a lot of high threat compositions at Worlds right now. That's what's going on. There are a lot of high threat comps, which all naturally lean aggro. Is this a specific team fight archetype? I mean, I don't know. Are these champs designed for team fighting? Kind of. Yeah, sure. Yes. What about these ones? I mean, kind of no. As a combo. Yes. Yeah. No, but she's marking Jax, who might be trying to team fight. Like, it could be. It really could be. Yeah. Because, like, we saw, guys, my own drafts in VRD were dog shit. I didn't do all of this when I was actually playing. Because my knowledge of draft isn't developed enough to make all the decisions in 30 seconds and have the lines, like, prepared. We've seen how long this has taken me so far, right? It's not like I don't have it instant. If I had it instant, I'd be a challenger player. If I didn't have mindfulness issues where it's hard for me to like rapidly get at my problem and like actively concentrate on everything, then I'd be a challenger player already. But I'm like, or challenger draft, like whatever. That you know what I mean. So in my frustration, look, I'm just going to come out and say it. I was struggling because I really don't think Sejuani is a good dive champ. I don't. I do not think Sejuani is a good dive champ. She can play dive, presuming that the enemy is all threats with no frontline, and it's fine to hit anybody, but like dive, right? Bring decks that are objectively weaker than the best deck in the game to tournaments because it's easier to play the weaker deck for 8+ hours a day. I've heard that. I've heard that before. Like, I've received criticism from my teammates from always trying to play like the most mechanically demanding thing that so like when I picked Fiddlesticks, that requires an interaction that I didn't know by heart in the Recon. I've been playing Vel'Koz a lot in solo queue. They're like, Quinn, what the fuck are you playing Vel'Koz? Like, you're so good at Taric, you're so good at Karma, like, just pick those and climb. But I say no, like, and like when I go to card games, Darian knows that I keep trying to play a Felios and Lore. I keep trying to play Shadow Isles decks that were, like, I am satisfied with a deck that has a lot of creativity. My favorite card is fucking Spirit Journey. Like, that card does not have clear use cases. I have a tendency to want to develop the complicated stuff, is what I'm getting at. Because the complicated cerebral stuff is fun, but I also have a brain that likes to shut off thinking in stressful situations to protect my ego. My question would then be, how is this easier to play? Just champion experience, right? That's funny. So just got to the top with more mental energy left over throughout the day than everyone else. Just play the easy stuff. Play easy. Ease of execution. I think Sejuani is on paper a fucking dog shit dive champion. And Akali's not inherently dive. She's a lot more of a flank champ, and Jax is more of a flank champ. And you know what? I'm grossly overcomplicating this, guys. Flank team fight. It's flank team fight, Quinn. You have double melee carries with setup and a strong backline that can defend themselves during the setup. It's fucking flank. It's so, like, typically flank. Like, and then because they're playing flank, Fiora's drafted to Mark, and then Fiora fits well into the teamfight composition because this is hybrid siege, like, where they're trying to play, like, for poke setup, defend their poke by using Fiora to cover Jax, and then when we're ready for that, I mean, practically hybrid siege with, like, skirmish elements, because these two are, like, I mean, Sylas is really only here to, like, answer the Akali matchup because they think Sylas is strong, and they haven't really built around, like, the team fight. But, like, Sylas can take Sejuani ult, and then Sylas is good to start things. Like, use Sylas as your Sejuani initiator, and then, like, single target, blow up, ultimate. Like, it's just, okay, it's just hybrid, it's flank versus hybrid siege. And the hybrid siege has an element that protects against the flank. And here we are, like, flaming everybody. It's like, I don't know if they think or something. It's fucking flank versus hybrid siege. Maybe I'm getting tired. Oh, Lord. Okay. Okay. So, I don't think I need to tell you guys what this is. I think this one should be obvious. Now let's check the other one. This one is more complex. This one is going to take some time to figure out. Okay. Okay, we've got something new to work with here, right? This is combo aggro. Okay, this is so obviously combo aggro. When you see Lee Sin LeBlanc, it cannot be anything else. It can't. It really can't. Lee Sin is a champion who leans, aggro, and teamfight is tacked on to the end because he's got some function, right? LeBlanc, I think I wrote aggro control. Yeah, aggro control, right? So we're running a combo aggro. Right? A combo aggro is a type of tempo comp where the specific win condition is to accelerate these two using their consistent setup, because like LeBlanc is just really obnoxious at getting Lee Sin rolling. Meanwhile, the combo has the means to snowball up into this dominant Aatrox lane, and your scaling insurance and secondary win condition is the Varus Renata, with just these nuisances in front of them. Are these guys given the tools to succeed as a team fight? Not necessarily. So it's not a team fight composition, especially since LeBlanc's play pattern is so goddamn bizarre. Like, it's just super unique. But this is very definitively a combo aggro, and we don't need to talk about it. This one is more complex. Okay, so Kalista. Oh my god, you have so many weird champions. Okay, Telegraph's forward aggression, probably single target blow up is ideal, but like you're fine to play anything that dives. Well, okay, here's a good dive partner. Camille. Camille could be flank, Camille could be dive. Camille leans team fight. She can also pick, like she's fine. The most forward aggressive comp you've ever seen, and there's an Azir here, which is a little scuffed, but I think Azir is designed to just survive into the mid lane, and so like they're picking him for the early, because they're not like, the problem with archetypes is that they account only for mid game and late game. I guess not if you're playing aggro, because like aggro solidifies the importance of early game, but like most team fight archetypes only come together in the teamfight archetypes and control archetypes only really come together in the mid game. So Azir needs to be able to survive into the combo aggro, and I guess like that's why they picked this. So they have, what do they have? They have Ashe is really good at generating picks, good pick tools, good laning, good strong bully potential. Kalista could be, I mean, is Kalista supposed to be a tempo engine? I don't think so. I think Kalista does not generate consistent enough advantages to be a tempo engine, but she is the ideal dragon aggro comp. Sejuani is the only tank jungler that can fit into dragon aggro. Is it dragon aggro? No, because Sejuani is conditional on having a melee support to be dragon aggro. So this is not dragon aggro, which sucks because you're playing fucking Kalista. What this implies is that they're trying to play like, you know, Kalista is aggro. Kalista is aggro. She's nothing else. Although in the context of them having a more pure aggro, like, I think we could justifiably say it's flank team fight. Like, if it's a comp that's obviously designed to team fight, then a lot of them default to flank team fight, and a lot of team fight. But like, is this team fight? You are balanced. You lean aggro team fight. You lean team fight. You lean team fight. You lean aggro. Okay. So this composition is somewhere between aggro and team fight. What's its range? Very poor. This comp is very poor with its range. What's its scaling? Very poor. Excellent. One item. Not very inevitable, but it's a lot more inevitable than this. Whoops, that's not the right. I keep clicking the wrong thing. Oh my goodness. Let me just click stuff. It's so hard to identify these compositions, like... But let's see, like... You're not diving. You don't have a dive partner. Wait. You don't need a dive partner if enemies are unprotected. I'm just waffling back and forth on whether we classify this as an aggro or if we classify this as a team fight. If we classified it as an aggro, it would not be a skirmish aggro, that's for sure. It would unfortunately have to be a scuffed tempo where we try to get Callista going. That's pretty much it. It's either a tempo mirror or it's tempo versus flank team fight. I think Callista's just so awkward. I don't think Ashe is like inherently team fight either. If you notice how few front to backs there are right now, it's probably the lack of viable melee supports contributing. Oh, also Silas Akali meta. That's why. Yeah. Yeah, it is somewhere between a Callista tempo and a flank team fight. And then if I were playing this composition out, I wouldn't know exactly how to do it, so I would assign combat roles, and once I knew combat roles, then it would become clear that, I mean, we're still supposed to play through Callista, ideally. Yeah, okay. Guys, I'm getting very, very exhausted. But we can do one more because this game looks interesting. Get that. What situation do we end up in where like we want Callista? Like yeah, glad we got there. Okay, so this is a beautiful, beautiful situation for Kindred to be in if they're skirmishing, because you now have 2 bruisers to hide behind, which is awesome. This is a skirmish core. This is a skirmish core. I mean, this is Draven Soraka. Draven Soraka. I think this is very definitively a skirmish comp. Because imagine if this comp gets to, like, the full teamfight phase. They are lacking initiation. They are lacking lockdown. All they have is their brute strength. They don't have a specific tempo engine, but they have a team that fights really well together. And Soraka is actually good in skirmish aggro. This is skirmish aggro, very definitively. Oh yeah, they're wanting to fight without any specific win conditions. This one, okay, Fiora is here. Remember, she only telegraphs being a nuisance. Fiora is so Fiora's thing now. I now understand. Fiora is just, if she's only going to be a nuisance to her enemy, then she is designed to just, I mean, she's either side laning or she's positioning herself within a team fight to be a nuisance to that guy. Graves is a tempo engine. Callista is not a good tempo engine, but low key, guys. This is almost designed to be a dragon aggro. What do they have? They have... Jungle must have high objective DPS. They have that. Must be designed solely for shove and lane dominance. Callista's amazing in that. Renata... I mean, it's a ranged support, so it's fine. Mid generates some shove, likely to be the emergency alternate win condition. Yes. The only thing out of place is Fiora, because Fiora is not a team fight facilitator. Again, another composition with very poor lockdown. They have superior range through Victor alone. Other than, and technically Graves, but like Aatrox range is good, Draven range is good, Kindred range is good. I mean, they technically don't have superior range, actually. Okay, we must call this volatile dragon aggro because Fiora's job is to facilitate team fights by just making sure Aatrox is useless. So, skirmish aggro versus dragon aggro. Very explosive game. I'm tired. I'm so tired. I've been, like, grinding at this for, like, 4 hours now. And I think I learned a lot. I think I did learn a lot. But I need to... The big takeaway is I need to figure out a better way of dealing with it when something is not... When something doesn't conform properly to an archetype. When you have, like, these hybrid compositions... I need to figure out how to work with hybrid compositions more. Whereas, like, the top side of the map is one thing and the bottom side of the map is another. And, like, they're... Yeah, I'm super happy with it. I'm going to attempt to assemble my teams. I would like... So what you guys are going to see in the future, guys. Eventually, I will get a team together. That team will play flex queue with whatever team composition we're currently studying. So whenever we get together... It's going to be on stream, too. It's going to be like the PvE in-houses. When we get together, that team will be playing a lot of flex queue for front to back. And then maybe next time, we're playing a lot of pick, because I'm making the pick video. Or we're playing Dragon Aggro, because I'm making the Dragon Aggro video. That's what's going to happen on stream eventually for that. I am going to keep studying for specifically the front to back video now, because I am convinced that the attributes we have are sufficient. I'm convinced that the attributes really help to define mirror matchups. I just need to start learning compositional matchups now. And I already have, like, the trinity of team fight, like the front to back beats dive, beats flank, beats front to back, in a very general sense. I'm happy with it. I have to go respond to that tweet. I need to make sure I'm responding properly to the my comments. I don't want to let my... Guys, if I let my YouTube comments get out of hand, I just get anxious and I don't respond to any of them. So I'm going to rest, and I'm going to feel good, and I'm going to respond to some of those, respond to the tweet. I'm going to do my due diligence as a content creator to respond to things. I'm tired. Oh my god, I'm so out of breath. I am super happy we do this, guys. Thank you for being interested. Thank you very much for being interested in what I do here. Because I can't think of a single other League stream where, like, this is the sort of thing that they do. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to love yourselves, respect each other, and I will see you all next time. Tomorrow, Baba Is You playthrough starts. That'll be exciting. Okay. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.